the Corvette held you up a little bit over here. That was nice of it.
The problem is you're so fast on the straight and then slow on the corner. But I guess that's a practical.
Yeah. How's the car feel with the lower tire pressure?
Feels better on the low speed, but not as good on the high speed.
Okay, so we'll leave them where they are.
Yeah.
Just leave them where they are.
Although the only thing I'm curious, is there a pressure difference between left and right?
They're all pretty feedback.
There.
Alright, whenever you want to go out. Hey, put the left leg up.
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike, you have permission
the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we are back again, ladies and gentlemen. Time to make the donuts. Time to get some things going on. How is everyone this fine evening? Hopefully we're all doing well. It's been a couple of days. You know, we had the holiday in there. So I didn't do a show yesterday afternoon, which was fine. I was cooking all day yesterday. I did jump in and out of Glenn's show a little bit, but other than that, you know, I tried to stay offline. I was just in his chat. I didn't actually jump up on the show. I've sent out some invites. The mods have the links. We're going to do the monologue, and then we're going to roll into callers. And you guys that have something to say that can't contain yourself can come on up, and we will, we'll have a great conversation. I will be happy to have you. It is, also very welcome if you can show some support for the show. If you can't, that's fine. But if you can, that'd be great. And let's see, what else? What other announcements? Merch is moving along. We'll get that out and up. I actually need to somehow add a storefront to my website and start pimping that out. So I should probably work on that over the weekend and maybe have that for Monday or Tuesday. The topic for tonight is, are we better off alone? And I think that as we go through life, there are times when we are better off alone and times that we aren't. We're going to talk about that quite a bit tonight because I think a lot of people, especially it seems like a lot of modern women, really do believe that they're better off alone and that they're better off without, specifically without men, and that they just don't need anybody. You know, it's not that they don't need no man. They don't need anybody because they really don't want to rely on their female friends either. And I've really heard a lot the past few days. I've been in and out of other people's panels and talked to people and listened to every. I've been listening to various programs, and there seems to be a very common thread, is that. For some reason, people, both men and women, often think that they're better off alone when they aren't, and then they stay in relationships when they're better off, or they would be better off if they got out of that relationship and did something else. And so we're going to really we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit tonight. I know this is a tough time of the year for a lot of people. You know, a lot of times. Whether we want to admit it or not, this is tough for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. Whether it's that they, are missing family, maybe they don't have any family left. I know a few people that just, they honestly, their closest family is on the other side of the country, so they don't have anybody. It is unfortunately a time of the year where a lot of families fall apart. This is it's really an emotional, tough time. It's a tough season that we're in, and we've been, for the last week, we're really concentrating about all the happy, good time, happy-go-lucky, roses, rose-colored glasses, all of that. We usually talk about this in a really pleasant, happy way, but I was thinking about it actually this morning and some of yesterday, just listening to some of the people talk, and then kind of reflecting on it. So I talk, basically I listen to what's being said around me, and then I think about it, and then I'll do a little bit of research, and it's a real thing, guys. I know that we've talked about this before, but I don't know that people really, really have chewed it down right to the bone. But it's a very real thing that there men and women out there, especially women for whatever reason, that tend to um, go through lives go through their life thinking they can always have a relationship. They don't need to, they don't need to be close to their family. They don't need to be close to these people. They just need to work. They just need to do this. They need to do that. They need to do whatever it is that's right in front of them. And then they wake up one day and they are alone and they have nothing, no one. And they look around at the families around them. They look at the people around them that are that are very often unhappy. I mean, let's just be honest. And they say, "Oh, I did the right thing." But then, and every now and again, sorry guys, my phone is driving me crazy right now. Just give me 1 second. Hit that button there. And it's interesting because Kat's doing a show on how to choose your spouse. So she should probably come over and jump on my panel. And what really kind of got me was we were talking to this kid the other day, and Glenn made the point. This is a rational point, and I think it's an accurate point, and it's something that most people, I think, don't actually know. And if they do know it, they like to forget it a lot. And that is that only about 40% of men throughout history have ever married, right? Or procreated, really. And now, obviously, a good part of that is just because they didn't live long enough, right? They didn't, it's not like modern times, and especially when you factor in World War I and World War II, where hundreds of thousands of young men passed away during the war, and all of the previous wars, and all of the things that people passed away from. It's easy to see why 40% of men have procreated, and probably not even all of them were married. So are we meant to be alone in some way? Is it a flaw? Is it a feature? What is there to it? And I saw a comment the other day, and what really tripped this is I saw a comment the other day that said that they were alone and they were going to stay alone, and they would die alone, and they were happy with that. And I thought that was a very unique point of view. And one that I don't actually hear spoken out loud a lot. So I really want to talk about that a lot tonight. I think that's an interesting thing. Guys, do remember that if you want to interact directly, send in a super chat. The super chats have been the TTS has been reduced to $10 and up, so you can have it instantly read, more or less instantly. And I'll try and read them as they come in, but if I'm rolling on, they won't make it. Let me just take a minute, and I kind of didn't welcome everybody to the show tonight, so let me go ahead and do that. I see Angry Casper was first tonight. Him and Anson Knowles were vying for the lead, but being on that Aussie time and a day ahead, Angry Casper was able to make it happen. Damien, parkour guy, he was third up. Damien does have a channel. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's worthwhile to go check out. And I think that he has some good points, good things to say on his channel. And he's trying to make a difference in a place where it's hard to make a difference out in California. So support him, guys. Smoking Spaceman's in the house. Chip and Flint, good to see you. And I hope that new baby is going well, sir. TR Finley, good to see you, sir. Hope that you're well. Michelle is in the house, our resident DGen. Really happy to see you, Michelle. Good. Hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving yesterday, and whatever. I just hope it was a great day. BIY, Believe in Yourself is out there. Good to see you, sir. TR, I've already said TR Finley. 13 Bujicon is in the house. Smoking Spaceman is in the house. Big Jake's Ranch is in the house. I see you out there. And we've got John Deadman. John Deadman has made it in. and he's chatting it up. So Beaten Cheeks has made it into the house. I didn't know that he still owned a computer, to be honest. But Cheeks is a perfect example of a person that can't be together or be alone with someone. So that's good. Angel Berber, good to see you, sir. And good to see you. Glad to see you guys. Cheeks, if you want, you can come up on the panel for a few minutes. If not, that's fine too. There's not really a panel; it's just me. Um, but yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah. I was alone for a long time and I was very comfortable being alone. And I think some people just are. I think that some people are really, really comfortable being alone. And there are other people that could not be alone if they had to be. They literally freak out if they're alone. So I think it's very much personality dependent, right? It's very much um uh excuse me guys. I think it's very much, depending on, who you are and what you're doing. Oh, nice, Cheeks. That's awesome. Well, you don't have to come up, sir. It's fine. You'll make it up another night, and that's all good. So I'm really interested in the chat's viewpoint. I'd really like to hear it, and I know some people that can the let's see, yeah. Um, the Hey man, I appreciate it, Cheeks. I appreciate you coming on, man. I know you've been really busy lately. You haven't been around. I'm glad to see you out in the chat. Um, yeah, man, dude, I'll be on tomorrow night. So just make your plans accordingly. Um, so the and Big Jake, you make a great point. Some of the greatest men in history have prioritized um, their pursuits of technology, innovation, progress for the public. Um, whatever their sense of purpose was. You said purpose and innovation. I like that. Over family, over relationships, over everything, and men just and they just and those men just really hammered out the world as we know it. Today those men would probably be labeled with some sort of mental mental problem or disease or something like that. But they created uh, throughout history. They created the world, and so now a lot of them were womanizers. Da Vinci, obviously, a lot of them were womanizers. A lot of them never formed any actual relationships, and so I don't think that they're examples. Right? I'm not saying that you should be like some, like Aristotle or any of these guys that never actually married but had a slew of hookups, if you will, or used harlots or whatever. I'm not saying that is the right way to go about it. What I'm acknowledging is that throughout history, um, great men have stood alone, right? Like they have not necessarily had a family, not necessarily valued um, the same things as other people, right? And there's nothing. Oh, that was even worse. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? So it's a there's really nothing wrong with it. It is what it is, and I think that if you're going to, I think that that's fine. I think the same thing does not necessarily hold true for women. I think women do have a biological clock. They have a physiological and biological imperative to procreate, and therefore that's why I think it's odd, or I thought it was odd when I was watching these interviews the other day, and these women were very happy about having been single throughout their entire lives. Um, so um, yeah, I mean, I think that yeah, I don't know. I think this is a very interesting subject, but I do know that a lot. Yeah, Benjamin Franklin, absolutely. Chip and Flint coming in with the long bomb. Benjamin Franklin was a genius, but he never married. He never really settled down. He was known for having multiple affairs, and he just absolutely um, was dedicated to building a country, to build, to what he saw as I'm assuming he saw it as a greater good. It's hard to tell from what I've read of his personal notes and papers. It's hard to tell whether he was a criminal or whether he was a saint, because he's very on the edge between the two. Um, and he just had, he was who he was, right? Welcome, Craig M. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. The so, but I don't but for the men that do, and that's most men, most men have that, you know, let's make something happen imperative as well. I just don't know that there's I don't know that that's all men for sure. And I think that there's um I don't know. I think it's different. Well, I know it's different. I just don't know how much. So, guys, if anybody wants to come up and chat about this, go back and forth a little bit, that would be great. I'm pretty much done with my monologue into this. I will say that just to go a little further with it, when we look throughout history, the idea, a lot of the modern ideas don't hold up to the lens of history. Um, and when if we want to start looking at history through the modern lens, it just screws us up a lot. And there's a really, really, really strong urge for us to do that, right? We look back through history through a modern lens and we say, well, women didn't really work, but they did. They worked all the time. Women, men didn't do this, but they did, Um, and generally they pick, what's really psychotic is that when people tend to talk about the greats of history, they ignore the frailties, right? Nikola Tesla, right? Nikola Tesla was a famous womanizer. He never even thought he didn't really care about anything but his work. And he wanted to be rich. I mean, I think that was something that history forgets about Tesla a lot. Is he really, his the thing that drove him the craziest was the fact that he never really was able to become the marketing publicist kind of guy that Edison was, and never really struck it big, right? And so when we look back at Tesla, we tend to not most people tend to look at him, if they even look at his relationship status. There's a lot of people who think Tesla was a pervert and he was wrong, but I think he was just a normal guy. He was just really super focused on his work, and that's all he cared about. And he had his own human frailties, and it's no big deal. And again, it's the idea that we always use this modern lens to look back through history, and obviously a lot of times we tend to ignore the reality of it. So when we get into modern times and we're trying to use the same lens through modern times, it we start falling apart even faster. Guys, you realize that, you know, there are modern women out there that are literally wasting their youth on nothing. Nothing. And then they wonder why, you know. This actually in a neighborhood chat group that I'm a part of. I don't know why I'm a part of it, but I am. There was a lady that literally, I kid you not, literally asked if 35 was too old to have kids. Obviously, today's doctors will say yes, you can't have kids at 35. It's very risky, and they will pay a lot of extra attention to you, and they'll harp on you, and they'll, you know, a lot of different things. But obviously, you can't have kids at 35, and it should be fine. But our modern standard is just so weird. But the question is, why is she having kids at 35? Right? Why is that? Why is she just now getting around to having kids? And of course, she doesn't get into that. But we've really messed up our world. We've really gotten like really out of. I don't know. I just can't. I can't come to terms with it sometimes. It's really interesting. I'm sorry, I can't read the chat. Give me 1 sec. I can't follow the conversations. You guys there's too many comments between other comments. I'm trying to think of here. Yeah, heroes' dark sides get overlooked. That's right. Villains get exemplified. Depends on who's recording the history. It also depends on how much of the history is written, because, you know, there's a lot that's not written. Yes, but and gets left out as concurrent histories are made. It's very interesting to see what was taught when I was in school versus what was taught or what is taught now. It's very, very interesting. So Damien, you are absolutely correct on that. Yeah, they say Tesla. Yeah, Big Jake, you're right. Yeah, you know, honestly, they probably would have locked Tesla up, right? Like he was kind of crazy. You know, like they would have locked him up. He'd probably been locked up. Yeah, I mean, Big Jake, Tesla is a womanizer. I mean, he actually he created a lot of problems for himself by womanizing with the wrong people, to be honest. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. So I'm interested in having some conversations with anyone that wants to come up. I would actually, Anson Knowles is like the perfect guy to call out and have him come up. I did call Cheeks out on it, but he can't. You know, he's about to pass out, which is fine. But Anson, if you are still in the chat, come on up, man. I want to talk to you about this. This will be really good. I see Streamrunner made it into the chat. I didn't. I'm running back to the back chat to see if I didn't miss anything really good. But yeah, JP Morgan. Yeah. Yeah, Tara Finley, I think you're right about that. I think about that. You're pretty correct. Yeah. You need a link. I thought I got you a link. All right, hang on. Just calm down. Calm yourself, son. I thought I gave you one. Anson Knowles. Anson Knowles has the link, ladies and gentlemen. This will be fun. This is right up Anson's alley. I'm just going to be a kind of a dick there, but that's all right. Anson Knowles is joined. He's in his film noir persona tonight, once again in the black and the white. Heartbender, that's okay. Nobody judges you here, but they will out in the world, so get ready for it.
I judge him.
You judge him? All right, Anson judges you. How are you doing, Anson?
Man, I'm doing great. You know, no complaints.
No complaints.
No complaints.
How was your Thanksgiving? I know that you should have been taking it easy, but you were obviously had an empty house, I guess.
Yeah, it was great. You know, and my oldest son from my first marriage graced me with his presence in the evening for about 20 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was unusual. He only calls me when he wants money, so that was different.
Well, wait till he starts calling you to offer, to pay you back and to give you money, and then you'll really understand how great the world can be.
Or how old I am? Is that what you're saying?
Or how old you are? That too. So Anson, what do you think about tonight's topic, man?
Well, I was actually kind of I don't know, upset by it a little bit because it made me question that, because that's not a question that, you like to ask yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like, reflexively, I don't enjoy being alone. It is, I'm a social animal, and I have engineered my life so that I didn't have to be alone. And I kind of made that one of the primary focus of my life, and I think it was an error because I never really got comfortable being alone, and it was a mistake because I don't think I'm as complete a person as I would be if I were more comfortable with it. I didn't live that long bachelor life that a lot of guys complain about now, how they can't get women. I never had that problem, so I don't know. It kind of triggered me a little bit because it made me be a little introspective, to be honest with you. I hate the word trigger too. That's a stupid modern term. I hate using that. damn commie term.
I phrased it the way I did because there are people like myself that are comfortable being alone, but I would not want to be alone now. I'm very used to having my wife around. I love my sons. I'm not that I can't be alone. I can easily go days, weeks, probably without seeing my family. But I would not, I wouldn't be the same as I was when I was younger, if that makes sense. It's just not the same. But there are people that cannot be alone, and then they enter into relationships or glom onto people that they shouldn't, or people take advantage of that little fact.
Yeah, no, I've done that myself, Rid. That's you're talking about what my life is like, because I did that recently. I started dating some girl randomly right after I got divorced, and I had to drop her because I realized I was just using her to fill a void.
We've got a
13_BuGeneCon donated $10 for the channel, sir.
Well, thank you, 13. I really appreciate that. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. And I'm glad to see the TTS is still working. There for a minute, I was getting concerned. So you're saying that I called you out.
Yeah, well, no, you're describing me. It's not really calling me out. I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm introspective. I like to think about what I do. And when I realized I was using that girl, I told her to take a hike because I don't like using people, unless it's something that I really want to do. I guess I do like using people. That's not the right way to put it. I just didn't feel like using her.
Interesting. Oh, Paige wrote half a book here. Paige, if you like, you're welcome to come up on this channel and the stage and chat. Anson is not a horrible person, and I try not to be myself. You're welcome to come up. Paige says it took a minute herself to separate from the career versus biblical purpose mindset. Was engaged to an atheist for 9 years. Wow. And in 9-year engagement? What? Wow. Broke it off to serve my true purpose and connect with God. Interesting. I'll send you the page. You have to go to I don't know if there's any mods. And Izzy, you're welcome as well. I didn't even see Izzy come in. How did Izzy sneak in without being seen? You have to go to my Discord. The mods can throw you a link, and I will. I'll send you the link, or you can message me. Hang on, let me get. This is terribly unprofessional.
You're an ultimate professional, Grid. A rank amateur wouldn't be able to do what you're doing. What are you talking about?
Okay. All right, there's the Discord link, guys. Go to the Discord, say something in general chat, and I will I'll send you the link.
So when are you going to start selling coaching classes for how to run your own YouTube channel? Isn't that what YouTubers do?
I don't think I'll ever sell any classes. We can talk about business stuff here in a minute.
That was a joke, Grid. I'm just messing with you.
So, I actually have a bunch of projects going on. Just so many that I don't know why I am so. Why I feel so motivated to continuously ask for too much work. Paige, I have DM'd you the link. Let me confirm that I am human. There we go. All right. Yes, it is the shed, Izzy. Let me
alone, Grid.
Where is I have Izzy. Where is Izzy? I'm in Izzy's Discord. What does she call that? There it is. Outlanders. The shed. I've DM'd you. I've DM'd both of you.
Yeah, and since we're on the subject of DMing, if any ladies want to slide into my DMs, I'll be sure to disappoint you.
The guy who just said that he uses people. That's awesome. That's very funny. That's very funny. So do you find that you drown yourself in your work when you're alone, or have you ever been alone long enough to find out?
Yeah, no, there have been a few times in my life where I've been alone and felt that discomfort. It's not like I've never been alone. It's just, I don't have anybody in the house now. And I have been.
Paige. Oh, Paige has turned her thing off there. That's okay.
I just got out of the shower. It's awful. You don't want to see that.
That's okay. It's just, we're always, unfortunately, in today's day and age, there are people who like to do really crazy things on people's streams. And so, generically, want to see who the person is. That's okay.
I assure you, I'm an officer of the court. I will not do anything that is against the law. So,
as an officer of the court, yikes!
Yikes!
Nothing needs to be.
I'm not a divorce lawyer. Yeah, I'm not a divorce lawyer. I am a product liability lawyer. So yes.
There's yeah. Yeah, I don't really need to I don't. Wow, you really got the chat going. Charles Darwin's like, out of the shower. This is not that channel. That is true. That is true. We don't have a lot of
Jesus.
degeneracy on here because well, I don't like it. So and Anson does, but he has to go to other channels for that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an outlet for that. Flow state's good.
I mean, like, you know what? There's enough demand. The demand is like pretty high. I will try. Okay.
Okay.
But y'all are gonna be pretty disappointed. So just a second.
It's okay, Paige. It's okay. All right. So what do you think about the prompt for tonight's discussion?
Can you be better off alone?
No. Are you better off alone?
Oh, absolutely not. I even I think about this in terms of like my own personal circumstance because I was engaged, right?
Mm-hmm. For 9 years. 9 years. That's a long time to be engaged.
Yeah. So I met him when I was about like 18. He was 20. And I always knew he was an atheist. His family was like a Baptist Christian family. Okay. So I thought like maybe there might be some hope. But yeah. Yeah, so
freezing.
Yeah, you're going in and out, Paige.
Yep. And Paige is gone to the dark side.
Your reception was better in the shower. You should get back in the shower.
Anson is just terrible. Now I can't keep up with the chat either. You guys are going. All right. We can't hear you. We can see you. We can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Oh, yeah. Maybe she's got to turn off her video so she has better.
T.R. Finley says her engagement lasted longer than both his marriages combined.
Yeah.
Ow.
How do you be engaged for 9 years?
I don't know. I'm waiting to hear the story. You know, that really annoys me, though. I mean, not that Paige did, because I'm sure there's a great story behind it, but it really annoys me because I routinely in the little community I'm a part of, and one of the little communities that I'm a part of, you'll have these couples that they've been dating for like 2 years. They get engaged. They have a year-long engagement. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is that? Why? I mean, how many years do you want to be together before you actually tie the knot? We all know you're living together, so it's not like, I mean, what's the, where are you at on this? And I just think it's, I think the way society has made it so that, Paige, are you with us?
We got video reception now.
We got video.
We can see your Coke bottle. It looks like a Coke bottle, maybe, and a computer screen.
Izzy has made it.
And she's upside down.
I'm actually really surprised Izzy came up because I was kind of mean to her the other night, or she felt like I was being mean to her the other night. So
no, I didn't feel that.
You didn't feel me? You didn't feel okay. Maybe I misunderstood. I was not intentionally being mean. So
you're good.
Excellent.
You are good.
I try to be a good person. I fail miserably at it all the time, but I try to be. I forgot. Oh, yeah, the terribly long engagements. I just don't understand. Like, especially if you're already living together and stuff. I mean, like, what are you doing? Like, why not just get married, right? Like, it's crazy. What do you think?
Agreed.
Anson?
Yeah, I don't know, man. My first engagement lasted like 3 days before I got married. So
well, that's because you'd already knocked her up, Anson.
Well, yeah, I know that, but
I mean, I'm not going to be nice to Anson.
The second marriage the engagement was a little longer. That one lasted about 9 months. So, that's a pretty long engagement.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just never understood the dramatically long engagement, and I'm not picking on Paige, who had a long engagement. Oh, look, we can listen, we can hear her now. I'm not
Yeah, I can
picking
hear
on
you
you,
now.
Paige. It's kind of a something that's so weird to me, especially when they're living together. And I actually have known. I don't know that we're still considered friends, but I have known people that have, like graduated high school, had kids, and then it's still a year-long engagement before they're married. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, just get married. We all
Can I?
know. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm ranting.
No, I don't mean to interrupt you at all, sir.
No,
I
no,
was just
please.
gonna say there's a large phenomenon online, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who has noticed this. Izzy might be even able to attest, but it's called the shut up ring, right? Where it's just like, okay, stop trying to like make this into a marriage. Let's just like, I'm gonna put a ring on your finger and you're gonna shut up. Like, like at least like 3 years about the marriage stuff, right?
That's really shitty.
It is, but it's a phenomenon. So
I have not heard of that, to be honest.
I'm thankful I haven't heard of it, to be honest. It's just nuts.
I heard of it and I was like, that's exactly what that was. Because I was like, where is this going?
Wow, interesting.
Like we're living in wedlock, right? I'm a hardcore Christian, and back then I was less so, but even now, like I'm like, that was a shut up ring. Not okay.
Interesting.
That is really interesting. I actually got the ring. I think I might have shared this before, and I know a lot of you were like, "Oh my gosh, what? You've been with the one man your whole life." I know to you Americans think it's weird that you've only
We Americans.
I mean, I grew up in a third world country, right?
Ooh,
So,
I did not know that, Izzy.
yeah, I mean, I was born and raised in the Middle East. So, over there, it's a big no-no. You don't just hook up with a bunch of people. And I kind of kept that, even though I moved to the US. And
You should have. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm glad that you thought.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
Thank you. Yeah. So the one man that I dated, I married, and I didn't even put out before I got married. So some people are like, oh, people put out, then they get the ring. I'm like, no, I actually got the ring before I put out.
So I'm from the deep South, and Florida, it doesn't count as the South.
Nope.
You have, yeah, Alabama is like the deep South. I'm one step above Alabama. Anson's actually in Alabama.
Oh yeah.
And when I was in high school, there were girls that put out, but they were not well thought of, right?
Well, I thought well of them.
Oh, I know you did, Anson. They were shamed, that kind of thing. And so it's an interesting, I've watched the dynamic change as I've grown up, even in my own hometown. And now it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird dynamic. You have kind of a return to the more traditional, I wouldn't say, I hate to say traditional, but the more pure, I don't really know what to call it, but the more like my youth, where there's a lot of shaming going on. And then then you have on the exact other end of it, you have, we do have in my hometown, even in my hometown, we have a big problem with a lot of pressure for kids to be, to come out as gay or bi or whatever, even if they've never even thought about being it. And we're talking about like kids that don't even know what sex is. Like, how do you know that you're that if you don't know? like
if you've never tried, if you've never tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like me saying I hate vanilla ice cream, but I've never tried vanilla ice cream. Right? Like, how do you know?
Right.
But
I'm a firm believer that should be outlawed. hardcore because like how do they know, right? And then you hear about like these suicides of like
we
trans
have.
conversion
We have.
kids.
I mean, we did not
Yeah.
actually outlawed it, but we have. It was such a problem in one of the schools that the school board had to get involved, and then they made a law, and then there was a couple of lawsuits. We actually also had in my hometown, we outlawed any kind of sexual performance in a school or within a specific range of a school, and or with kids of a certain age, and that was challenged, and we won, because we're in the South, right? Like we got some weird people, but at the end of the day, we're still pretty. We still have a lot of churches, a lot.
Yeah. The
Right.
freaks are one.
You can't walk a mile in any direction without hitting at least two.
Yeah.
So,
Are you Orthodox, Grant, or what's your denomination?
I'm Southern Baptist.
Cool.
Southern Baptist. Okay.
Yeah, we believe that if you sin, you go to hell, and we'll tell you so.
Listen, I grew up Muslim or in a Muslim country, and question that from age 5, I would say, forever. And then after I moved here and saw that God here is just more relaxed, is not as hateful as Allah. And so then I was angry and I became an atheist instead. And after a while, I, went on this search and I read everything, and then I found Jesus. And
I'm sorry, Izzy, Craig M. or pardon me, Heartbender. You just went right there, man. You went right there.
I don't know, Greg. I mean, I think he might be selling himself short. I think he does need to try that out to know. He can report back to us and tell us how it goes.
He can talk to Destiny about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Izzy. We interrupted you. So you grew up in a Muslim country, and are you Christian now? Or are you?
I am.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we will talk about that another time because I don't want to derail too far off of the conversation. But
you're good.
What do you think about people being alone? Are you better off alone? Are you okay alone?
In what way?
That's a great question. The way I put it was that in my past, especially when I was working, I'm very comfortable being alone. I don't need people around me. I don't miss people. I don't like get up in the morning and go, oh man, I'm so alone. I just go to work. I do what I got to do. If I don't talk to anybody in a day, I'm totally fine. That changed when I met my wife, because my wife was the first person I had ever missed. I actually missed her. I wanted her around. And now I have kids. And so that changes that dynamic a little further, but I'm still in a position or mental state to where if I were to be gone a month, I could do that. And it wouldn't, I wouldn't be moping around. It wouldn't even bother me, which sounds really cold, but I'm just really comfortable being alone. I don't need people around. I don't need the convenience of having someone serve me dinner or anything like that. I just don't need it.
Right.
I never have. But other people are exactly opposite of that. And they can never be alone. Like Anson was talking about how he has a real he felt called out a little bit by the topic, and he can kind of revisit that. I'll let him explain his viewpoint on that. But it's and what I've found is that it seems to be a lot, especially a lot of women who I don't think women biologically are meant to be alone. I think they, just mentally, it's just in their nature to not want to be alone, are lying to themselves a lot and saying, well, I can be alone, or I don't need a man. And they wake up when they're in their mid 30s and be like, well, I want to have a kid now. And a lot of this was triggered by a specific conversation, but it's just a very interesting conversation to have, because I don't know. Maybe some women are really capable of absolutely being alone and being okay with it and not regretting it later in life. Right. Like I never thought I would get married, and well, first of all, I don't regret anything, but if I hadn't gotten married, I don't think I wouldn't have regretted it. I would have been somebody's cool uncle, that hung out and did, cool stuff and took, was a leader in some youth group or something, or taught kids or taught young adults, whatever. I would have done that if I felt like I needed to. But even then, I just don't see myself ever having been in that position. You understand what I'm saying? So it's hard. So for me, it's hard it's a little bit hard to understand why people can't be alone. But at the same time, I understand why women specifically can't seem to be alone. So I'm kind of interesting it's a great conversation to have. I think I would like to know.
Agree. So for me, you sound just like my husband. My husband can go be alone by himself and be fine. You know what I mean? For me, I got married early. I was 22, we've joked about this, not that long ago. I told my husband, God forbid ever happen, if anything happens to him, I'm like, I will be content being alone for the rest of my life, focus on my children only, and that's it. I am done. I don't think I could go back and do all that nonsense, having to marry somebody, blah blah blah. For me, honestly, I think I'll be fine. I would be fine. I also work in my line of work. When I come home, I don't want to deal with people. I am done. I'm shut down. Don't want to talk to anybody. Does that make sense? So
Sure.
I am fine alone. I've struggled with the women that always have to have somebody. They don't even have a break in between. I actually had a friend who I've always told her, stop dating, give yourself a break. This is insanity. You can live without a man. It's fine for a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
Understand what you want, before jumping from one to another. But I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
My husband
Anson,
I have a
would be the same.
different.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Paige. Then I apologize. I'm talking over people.
That's okay. No, that's the flare of the internet, which we now all have to live with. I have a very different opinion. So, for just context purposes, I'm a very successful woman. I make 6 figures. I live alone in a large downtown city. I have everything that I could ever want, including pensions and all that stuff. And I'm not happy. I feel like I do need the patriarchy. I do need a man to make myself happy. And I felt that for a while. There was about a year or so after I left my ex, because I just knew I couldn't commit to a mortgage with him. In his own fairness, I don't think that's fair to lock a man into a mortgage when you don't intend on committing to him. But after 2 years, I was like, this is sad. And I have everything that I need to actually care for myself to the end of time. So it's not about that.
And do you think that that's intimidating to men, and one of the things that's contributing to you remaining alone?
I would say yes and no. Actually, I found a decent amount of men on the Crucible, albeit, I'm 34. I just turned 34. So my reproduction years are kind of limited, which might be a factor for some men. But I have found a decent amount of men that they are interested in women who want to support the patriarchy, who want a traditional relationship, who want a Christian woman to marry. So I don't think totally, but yeah. Big Jake's Ranch. Paige should have let a man make 6 figures. Well, she cooked food, barefoot, then she'd have company. Yeah, W, Big Jake's Ranch, for sure. But
May I
a little
ask
too
why
late.
you waited this long? Like, so, like for me, I mean, I married young, but I also worked. Like, I stayed home for a certain amount of time until my children were a bit older, and I went back to work. So, but can I ask you why you waited?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I was with my ex from 18 to 28, and that was a really long time. I took a couple years, and then the pandemic hit, so I was pretty restricted in terms of dating. I did join dating apps, and I met a couple guys that were not in it for the reasons that I was, and I got really discouraged. So
Okay.
it's partially on me, Izzy. I'm not going to deny that. I will take accountability for my own role in
No,
this.
it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you tried going to your church and asking, I don't know what kind of denomination you are, but asking your priest or your preacher to arrange something for you?
So I'm a Lutheran. I'm baptized and confirmed Lutheran. I've never really felt like close to the Lutheran religion since I've come to a higher understanding of what I want out of religion. Probably going to consider the Orthodox Church. There's a close one to me, which is Slavic. But no, I have never asked my priest to, so to speak, matchmake.
Yeah, that might work in the Orthodox Church. They might do that for you.
That might do that for me. Yeah. I appreciate the guidance.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm terrible with advice. Don't listen to anything I say. My life's a wreck.
You know what,
piece of
actually,
advice, my stepsister's a diehard Catholic who has like 2 children. So sorry.
Don't
Grid.
let Anson fool you. He had the self-realization to understand that he was not in it for the right reasons with the last lady that he dated. So he broke it off with her. He just admitted that a little bit ago. And we all know who's sleeping with Anson's ex-wife now, and it's Anson.
Yep, it's me.
So he's going back to the well. And they just finalized the divorce like a month ago.
Yeah, it was like 3 months ago. Yeah.
3 months ago? Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun. So Anson, don't sell yourself short, man. Don't sell yourself short.
I'm just aspiring to be like my uncles. I have 2 uncles that both remarried former wives. So
I come from a long line of stay-at-home moms. Sorry.
That's okay. A long line of single moms?
Single moms.
Stay at home. Stay at
home.
Stay at home.
Stay at home.
Okay. All right. Whew.
Yeah.
Wow. I was like, what? No, don't do that.
Yeah, no, my mother had 2 children, both in her 20s. Stay-at-home mom for a farmer, and her mother, German. She had 3 children for her husband, all in her 20s. So, and stayed at home. So yeah.
That's very interesting. These are all very interesting stories. So one of the things that kind of triggered this, or one of the things I referenced when I was thinking about tonight's topic, or pushed it onto me or whatever, was there is a and there's I didn't save it or anything, but there's a social media personality who is an ex-escort who has been out for 4 years, and she was on drugs and all of that, lost her teeth, which was really weird. I guess drug abuse will do that to you. I'm not really sure, not done it, but anyway.
With meth, probably, yeah. Because she's smoking it, or crack.
I think it was something to do with her. I think it was something to do with a bunch of malnutrition and something else. Her hemoglobin was really low or something. I don't know. Anyway, at any rate, she's she in one of the 3 shorts that I saw, she talks about how she cannot form real relationships now because of having been an escort. She has no sexual interest in men or she has no sexual interest at all, and no interest in men currently. She's gone on dates. They just don't, there's just no, she can't get emotionally attached, and there's no apparent, that whatever circuit
Pair
in her
bonding
brain
is what
that
you're
does
talking
that. Yeah,
about.
even beyond the pair bonding, because pair bonding takes time. There's just no emotional need. So is she better off alone, or is she just so broken that she's going to be that weird aunt?
I think she's broken, honestly. I think it'll just probably take time to heal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, they're just
it's bad, right? But it's being in that, being where nothing hurts, right? Like it's all fine. I can just go do all of this really bad stuff, and I'm getting my money and all of that. But there's a toll, there's a price to pay. We're not meant to do that, right? So that's a very interesting. It's a very interesting conversation.
Especially women, honestly. Especially women. So when women,
I'm glad you said that.
No, I'm serious. When women sleep around, and this is, I don't know how much you believe in science. Like your body releases a hormone. That's why women get attached to men immediately. Whereas men can do that without having that attachment. So there is a hormone that could be released for women. It's not easy. I'm sure it took a toll on her. This is insane. I can't even imagine. It's just terrible.
Well, everyone's redeemable. She might be, garbage, but it's possible that she could, get into a healthy, normal, something with a guy. I don't know. I'm not going to sell her short. Everybody's a unique individual, but she does sound like a dumpster fire. So.
I actually think this topic is really fascinating. Can I speak on that from like a philosophical point of view?
Sure.
Yeah. So the wide rhetoric, especially on like the manosphere type of thing, which people would like to categorize it as, right, is that men can prolificate as much as they want, right? Fresh and Fit notoriously has this dialogue where like you need to sleep with like at least 50 women in order to formalize, whether or not you have the right one, right? And there's this corresponding dialogue that like, okay, every man should, date an 18-year-old virgin. I don't think that's necessarily true, but I think there's some nuances in that approach that are valuable. For instance, naturally, men are biologically engineered to prolificate, right? You guys can have sex with multiple women. Conversely, women can only carry one pregnancy at a time, right? For 9 months. Okay. I think that's valid. The second point is like this whole idea of pair bonding, which I absolutely agree with. I think that the more you have sex, the more insignificant it becomes. I'm not saying that's like necessarily gender specific, and it's certainly not gynocentric. I think it's just a general principle that applies across the board. Okay. So if I have sex with a bunch of men, I'm probably going to view sex less important. I don't know, because my body count isn't high enough to determine that. But there are women out there like that one chick who had sex with 100 guys in one night and bragged about it on social media. I'm pretty sure the significance has been lost for her.
Holy cow.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Gotta be honest.
And she bragged about it. It's so easy to find. She's like, I got I was in this hotel and I got 100 guys fuck me in one night and follow me on my journey.
Ew.
Because of course journey. Yeah, disgusting, right? So I know on the whatever podcast and whatnot, Brian especially emphasizes this. He thinks that guys that have more sex might be more attractive to women. Conversely, women who have more sex are not. But from my standpoint, I would rather not have sex with a guy that's had sex with 100 women, because the venereal disease likelihood is equal for both genders, regardless. So just my hot take.
Yeah. On that note, I just feel sorry for the 100th guy.
So there was a, this is weird that I know this, but there was I think it was Yale or one of the Eastern universities did a study back in the 60s about the female orgasm, and they had these women just basically have sex until they quit orgasming, and there was one that could go for, I forget what the exact number was, but it was quite a while, and it was absolutely crazy to think about. Even back then, that was nuts. Now that's probably just like a Saturday night for some chicks, but it's really nuts where we're at.
Right?
It's disgusting.
That's like Helen Keller. Helen Keller could do that.
Oh no!
You didn't know that, Grid?
I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't know anything about that. So.
Oh no! Not Helen Keller. Please go.
Honestly, I don't get it. Your body is your temple in all religions, and I'm not a religious person. I hate religion. I hate religious whatever. My relationship with God is my relationship with God. You know, there is something in modesty. There's something in your body's your temple, and I just don't understand these women and men, honestly, bragging about sleeping around with a bunch of people. I find it disgusting. I personally find it gross, you know. It came up out here with a bunch of moms. Believe it or not, women talk about all kinds of stuff. And I was the odd one out when I said I've been only with one man. And they brought up the whole used car or car analogy.
Bicycle.
Oh,
yeah.
The car analogy. Would you buy a car without test driving? I'm like, what? How is that even like close to what? So I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. You know, you can view me as the weirdo. I'm okay with it. I'm raising the children to be the same way as I am. Whatever.
Yeah, men are more like.
But Izzy, there is. Sorry.
I was gonna say men are more like nice boots. You know, you try them on, and other people aren't gonna want to use them after you have them. They're your boots. They're fit to your feet. You have them for a long time. You might get them resold. They're not like a car.
We've gone into uncharted territory here, or territory that I didn't intend to chart, at least. Why make that, Damien says, why make that the goal? Why not better education, improving society, building a family? Nope. 100 dicks in a night. That's the goal. Why make that the goal? That
isn't the question. Sorry.
Well, I mean, you know, if you're not talented at anything and you're a woman and you think that you're the sum total of your value is between your legs, you know, it's sad, you know, it's just a commentary on what people value.
Sure.
So that's what we're really getting at here, right? What is a woman's value, right? Is a woman's value her purity? Is a woman's value her ability to take on a career and excel at that? Is it her ability to raise kids? Right? What is the value intrinsically to society of a woman? Right? That's what we're trying to get at, I think.
Yeah. So we were having that discussion the other night. Or actually, we're having a discussion where I brought that up the other night. You know, this guy on Glenn's panel who is he's like a fake incel guy. You know, where he's like, well, you know, I'm going to he doesn't feel like that he can get ahead. He doesn't feel like he's going to have all the things his dad had because his dad could buy a house. His dad had a wife that loved him and all of that. But this guy is literally like lazy as fuck, doesn't actually want to work, hires escort. You know, the reason he can't own a house is because he's paying for escorts at least once a week, maybe twice a week. And I mean, I'm like, dude, you and I can't have a conversation with you because I actually went on there to, you know, because he was like, I just want someone to tell me, you know, what I can do to get ahead, how I could actually be able to afford a house and all of that. And I went on there and started talking to him, and he was so full of cope.
No accountability, and he thinks other
Zero
people
accountability, man.
Yeah, it's like a damn woman.
Yeah, no, it's worse. It's worse
Whoa, watch it there.
A, women will take some accountability, and B, even when they don't, I don't know a lot of truly lazy women. Like I know that, you know, the idea that women sit around on a couch eating bonbons all day is fairly popular, but you know, the reality is most of the women I know are relatively motivated. They have things they want to do. They may not be as aggressive as men are about getting those things done. But you know, some aren't. But I just don't, the way this guy was like, he was more female than most females I know. You know?
Probably.
But I could also,
I'm sorry if I'm insulting the ladies on the panel. I'm just saying.
no, but I could also like flip that and ask you as men, what's your value, right? I mean, do you think it is?
Oh, men have no value. Men have no real value, right? I mean, men have always understood that we're disposable, right?
To who?
Well, to society at large, and in general to pretty much anybody, right? So. And that's why, you know, men go fight the wars. That's why men do the dangerous jobs. That's why men do all of the things that nobody else ever wants to do. And we're happy to do it. What's interesting is it's like a puppy dog, right? Like you say, oh, you know what? Somebody needs to go over there and blow up that bridge. And hey, you know what? You might die doing it, but that bridge really needs to be blown up. Okay, and they just trot right off and do it, you know. And it's but because they have that sense of duty, they have that sense of commitment, they have that sense of something greater than themselves. And I'm being a little bit cavalier here, right? But not by much. I do think that throughout history, we can always point to at any point of history that men have been worth less than women. And you know, the red pill guys fight me tooth and nail on that. But they're wrong. You know, they're like, well,
yeah,
so, men are to inherit the earth. Men were given dominion. Men were all of that, and that's fine. I understand that biblically, and I endorse the patriarchy. However, you can't be the patriarchy if you don't get the big piece of chicken if you're not going to go out and do the hard work to earn the piece of chicken, right? So either you can't have it both ways. You can't be the most important thing in the universe and not do the work.
So
those two things cannot be true at the same time. And that's what this kid was asking for, right? He wants the big piece of chicken. He wants the house. He wants the hot wife. He wants the flashy car. He wants a steak dinner every night. But he's not willing to put in the hard work or take the risk or do any of the things that you have to do to get there. Women, on the other hand, don't have to do anything but fuck. And they get there.
that is not true.
Okay, they have to have children as well. But
No, that is not true. That is not the case. No.
okay. I'm being a little bit facetious, but not
What
by
do you mean,
much.
Izzy?
What's that?
Yeah, but what do you mean, Izzy? Like, what's the disconnect between what Grid is saying and what you believe?
That
I'm
is not
confused.
the reality. Again, I mean, there's none of that. I fought my way to get myself out of the crap hole country that I was in on my own, without help, without resources, and I got my family out of that as well. So there was no, open your legs and get.
That is admirable.
And that is also one of the reasons why you don't have a sense of entitlement like most of the Western women that we're talking about. We're not talking about you.
Your values onto other people.
Yeah, we're not talking about you.
I try to look at everything. Before we get into, because I think Paige has something to say, but I want to read Angel Berber's. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that Angel Berber is, if I recall, he is a Latin Persian mixed guy from a very generational family in California, and he is based. He is literally the guy you would meet in the woods if you were doing the man and bear in the woods thing, because he spends a lot of his time out in the woods. And he's a super cool dude. He says, women aren't overwhelmingly lazy. They're overwhelmingly selfish with their work. That's probably more an accurate way to say that. They are in general now don't work to provide out of a sense of duty to anyone but themselves. It's deep, man. I like it. We're gonna chew that one over for a minute before we get into it. Go ahead, Paige. I'm sorry, you were going to say something before I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Grant. I think Izzy's circumstances do represent an outlier. I don't think a lot of women go through what she has gone through. I think it's admirable, but I don't think it represents the general population. Just turning to like what most North American women face, even myself, I've faced much less difficulty than Izzy, having been born in a North American country and having profited off of what I would consider feminist ideology, right? That women should be promoted above men if they're somewhat skilled in their current role. I think turning to the comment that the viewer posted, and I apologize, but I forget what his name was, about
Angel.
Judy and women. Yeah, Angel, thank you. I do think there is a widespread issue with that. For instance, if you had watched the Whatever podcast featuring Deborah Lee, who marks herself as a conservative woman, a trad woman, she did have difficulty in terms of her spar with Andrew in terms of articulating what she is to do. She said, I need to make sourdough bread and paint my nails, right? He's like, well, what's your duty as a woman to society, right? And she couldn't quantify that. And obviously, if you're a traditional Christian woman, your duty is to reproduce, right? The Lord said, go forth and multiply, right? And to serve your husband. And I don't think we got that from her. So I think there is a crisis of faith in terms of the modern woman in that regard. Sorry, that was like prowling. I went on.
No, you're good.
It's not just women. That man that Grib was describing was having a crisis because he wasn't oriented in the direction he needed to be as well. And Grit, I think you're wrong. I think men do have value. And it's what you were saying, that men's value is their honor and their duty, because without that, they really are totally worthless.
Yeah, this comment is her duty.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Her duty is to make the next generation. Again, that takes two. I can't just multiply on my own, right? So there's that. I don't know. I think maybe there's a disconnect between America, right, and the Western world, and where I come from. There's a lot of disconnect for sure.
Well, that is very true, and I was going to mention that when we got back to it. So my wife is Chinese. She came here. She worked very, very hard at everything she's ever done. She's an amazing woman. I used to say that I had to go for an import because most of the American women that I wanted to date were horrible. They were absolutely, they'd fallen victim to the princess phenomenon that we have here, that we've cultivated over the last 30 years in the U.S. She is not that. And now my wife works very, very hard. She doesn't have to, but she does. And the reality is that thousands of men have died because over women, right? Throughout history. Troy, right? The Helen of Troy, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a very interesting dynamic, especially when we're talking about someone who is from the East, such as yourself, versus the Western ideals that we have very carefully destroyed over the years, right? A lot of the things that you're talking about that you understood that you weren't going to better your situation without working harder, without making sacrifices, without doing whatever, right? But Western women don't think that way anymore.
I've noticed.
And it's probably really frustrating to you because you and Paige likely agree on a lot of things because she has seen this from the inside and you're looking at it from the outside, and I'm looking at it as a male going, we're fucked. Right?
100%.
And I'm not saying that all women are like this, but I am saying that throughout history, it has always been the case that the men's value was in their ability to be violent creatures. Truly.
Right.
In America, we want to deny men the very thing that makes them men, which is a whole other subject, which we'll have to do. Maybe we'll do that Friday. Maybe I'll get one of my buddies who are like super violent and have them come on. And and we can talk about being, super violent and why that's a great thing. But in America, for the most part, we have a really hard issue. We have a lot of issues here, and not just America. Canada has a problem. The problem's infiltrating into basically anywhere we touch. And it is the idea of feminism. It is anti-patriarchal. It is the fact that for whatever reason we have decided in America that women cannot be held back. They must be propped up. And I think it does not do anyone any service. And again, Darwin comes in with what's that phrase? If it floats, flies, or fucks, rent it. Yes, it's absolutely true. Unless you can afford to own it, you must rent that because it will cost you more in the long run. Angel Berber comes in with my great grandmothers and grandmothers all worked. They didn't work for self-aggrandizing. They did it to improve family and enrich husbands to ensure success. That's also something that's very unique to America, is that we have this idea that women should not work. It's very unique. I don't know of any country in the world where women do not work. But here we have this idea of a stay-at-home mom being the ultimate goal. That came out of the 40s and 50s. But
that's entitlement.
It is
entitlement.
It is entitlement culture, for sure. And every time I tell people that women have always worked, even if you just want to grant that they stayed at home and ran a household, which back in the day was not you and your chihuahua. It was you and 10 kids and 2 maids and a couple of housemen and however many hands you had to, depending on whether you were a rancher or farmer or owned a salt, whatever it was that you did to survive in the world, you had men doing that work. And most of the time, the husband was off somewhere doing what it took to make everything work. And his wife had to run the household, which was like a small army in some cases. And women had to do that. They had to be very strong to do that. And now they do not.
No, they don't. They just expect to, I don't get the women these days. They want they all want to be TikTokers or whatever they want to be. And they want to find the next rich husband and they want to get all the whatever private airplanes and all that nonsense, right? I don't understand it. What's that?
I don't want to seem like, sorry. I don't want to seem selfish, but this was like one of the things that actually like irked me about my previous relationship was like, I've always been raised, like I'm German and British. My ancestors are very traditional. I was brought up to like, care for a home. So even with my ex, I had a full-time job where I worked more hours than him because I worked in private practice litigation. And I still would like come home, make dinner, make lunch, take out the garbage, do the laundry, all that, like all of the, I would say like the trad wife things, but I still worked, right? I didn't have a problem with that so long as like it was like reciprocated in certain ways, but it was not, right? And I think that's maybe like the disconnect that like some women have because they expect, okay, like I'm going to be a trad wife, right? I'm gonna like not have to work.
Can you even be a
And a lot
trad
of
wife
men-
in the United States right now? Can you?
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
difficult financially, I'm told.
I mean, well, no, hold on. The financially is irrelevant. You to do laundry, you literally dump it in a machine and press a button.
yeah.
To
Like
make
clean the
food,
house.
for most people is 20 minutes worth of prep. You stick it in a machine, you turn the timer on, or you select whatever you're making, and it does that, right?
Yep.
Making the bed, well, okay. Clean a shower maybe. Although I'm the one that cleans the shower at my house. I don't know about anybody else.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. Women
The
are
entire
great.
house though? Like, does your wife do the rest? Like, does she do the house?
So actually, I was alone for a very long time. So I didn't get married until I was 34, 35.
Oh,
And so
right.
I do not believe in I do not allow my wife to do very much because she does it wrong. And I just don't have the personality.
Oh no.
Does she do it on purpose?
No.
Like my husband, he makes
No.
the laundry
No,
with
no, no.
towels
So my
on
wife
purpose.
so my wife is Chinese, and as I said, Chinese it's different, right? Like everyone works in China. Nobody just sits
True.
at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so she is, she's been, since she was very small, she was destined for greatness in something, and she does she does very well as she's in investment banking right now. She's probably going to go into private equity here soon. And we,
That's awesome.
Oh, that's profitable. Yeah.
Yeah. So but here's the reality of the situation is, when we first got married and she stayed at home all day, I still did most of the housework because she's not very good at it. And I'm a very particular person, and I just have I have a very specific way of OCD, of OCD that I have. And I just prefer that I would just rather do it myself. Although I make my kids do a lot of it now, right? Because that's their job. But I went to a military school and like things have to be like,
Just
have to be a very specific way. And I would just rather do it and not have my wife do it. Even when we got married. That was that. I mean, when we got married, obviously she wasn't working and I was working, and I let her do the laundry a few times, and it was okay. But it's just easier if I do it.
So I guess that goes to the question then: does a trad relation, like let's say you're willing to?
I don't think you can have a
be the
trad
provider.
relationship anymore. I just don't think it
Yeah,
exists.
okay.
I think people say they
that's what I was
do.
getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband and I were
'Cause, like-
both. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say, so that's the question, right? Like, if you provide for a woman in the traditional sense where she doesn't have to work.
I'm sorry.
I think
she
is
cut
that my
out there.
internet? Yeah.
Are you back?
Am I good now?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I can
Am I
hear you now.
back?
Go ahead. I'm
Can you
sorry, I
hear me?
didn't hear.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, no, that's okay. That was my bad. I switched apps. So let's say like you provide for the woman in all the traditional sense. She doesn't have to work. You have multiple kids with her, right? She homeschools the kids.
That's important.
Okay. So you don't even have that. Is that sufficient for her to not have to work? Or is it still expected that she lives a modern life in terms of working?
So every situation's different, right? And like I have a friend of mine who's owns a computer company that's very profitable, and his wife doesn't have to work, but she does. And they homeschooled their kids. And when his wife was not doing the homeschooling, she would do, obviously she took care of the house, which is pretty relevant in modern times. But she also did other things, which don't know her full list of things that she did, 20 years ago when the kids were small. But my impression is that it was an equitable arrangement for everyone. You know what I mean? It wasn't that one or the other felt like it was uneven, which I think is really what the issue really is, right? So if you are, for example, I guess my problem with the idea of a trad relationship now is this idea that women are to stay at home and take care of the kids, but they don't do that anymore, right? They pawn them off to daycare, they pawn them off to school, and
Right.
then they complain about the issues there. So I'm really not quite. Oh, I'm really not quite okay with any of it, if to be honest, right? Like
So
just being honest, I think that every relationship has to figure it out for themselves. I think
so
that for right now, I retired. My wife kept working, and that was fine. And as a matter of fact, it worked out perfectly because the it was time for me to take in, to step in and take over the raising of our child, and it was time. And very fortunately, she had like a career um, jump, I guess you would
Which
say.
is highly profitable. Yeah.
She was able to do some good stuff.
now,
I think Izzy's internet let go or something.
Oh
She's
no.
like, "Hi," and then she was gone.
I'm the only female panelist.
Yeah, it's okay.
Grid,
Yeah.
let me say this. So the trad wife thing, I've seen that work, and I've seen it work, with younger people too, but only if they're a specific kind where the woman stays home, she
Mhm.
takes care of business. She might have like a small side job that doesn't require attention, kind of like what Rachel Wilson did with book writing, right? Something
Mhm.
small that doesn't require constant attention, and then the kids stay at home and they're homeschooled and they're raised in a much more traditional way. I've actually seen that, and doing
Yeah.
political activities. Some of those women are really effective in political activity because they have just a little bit more time for that sort of stuff, and it's good to have them around because they're generally more conservative, and I think it's actually a good thing to endorse homeschooling and trad wife at the same time.
So that brings me to, we dance around this issue a lot on this show because, I have this very specific belief system about this, and that is that um, I'll grant that. I'll grant that 100%. I'll grant that um, that type of relationship works perfect. What I don't believe can happen anymore is a woman who just stays home, takes care of, just does the laundry, cleans the house, and does all that. And there's two reasons for this. First of all, because it doesn't take any time. Izzy, just click the link that you originally came in on, and I'll just send it. I'll send it to you again.
And while you're waiting on Grid to do that, somebody smash that like button and send in lots of super chats and ask.
Yeah, we need
Paige
some donations, guys. Hold on.
Ask Paige to answer uncomfortable questions with your super chats because it will amuse me.
So the interesting thing, I mean, I guess not interesting, but I see it work, but I also see it crash and burn because the women have so much extra time on their hands. They really don't have any responsibilities. So then they start, this is where a lot of the I'm a bored housewife comes in, or they join a million panels and then, or not panels, but a million clubs and activities and all of that. And they can't, then that creates marital problems, and it's just snowball effect. You know what I mean? I'm gonna actually need to be. I've actually got to answer this. So if Anson, just keep talking, you and Paige, and I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. So hey, Paige, you have a very interesting accent that I've picked up on, and it's almost Canadian, but I can't tell if it's Canadian or like Midwest, like Minnesota maybe, or something like that. But it's also got a little bit of other accent in it. You mind telling me what region you're from? And Paige's Paige is gone too. So I'm going to carry the show by myself now. Okay. Yeah. So somebody, let's see. Let's take a look and see what's in the chats right now. We've got panels are clubs and activities by modern standards by Big Jake's Ranch. Yeah. And yeah, there are crickets there. I agree, Stephen. So I had that same exact experience that Grid was talking about with my marriage, where we had the kids doing so much all the time. It basically ate into all of the alone time that we could have had. So Grid's 100% right on that, where couples can get caught up in, children's enrichment as an activity that really just sort of takes away from the functional marriage. So you're 100% right, Grid. But Paige is gone. She didn't have her audio working.
So the interesting thing, I think, is something like Damien is saying. I was talking about the bored housewife phenomenon, where, all of a sudden everything's wrong in the marriage because the woman is just, Paige is gone. Anson?
Hey, what's up?
Oh, Paige is gone. I didn't.
Yeah.
I lost it. K2 Keep On Trucking is sent in a super chat. All right. $5 comes in from K2 Keep On Trucking. When their husband's working 14 hours, she goes to see the neighbor. There you go, Knowles. I sent a super chat. Awesome. Very good, sir.
Yeah.
So
the neighbor or someone from your friend group, that was my experience.
Postman, remember the whole idea of the postman? And
Yeah.
Paige is back.
I'm back.
You're back. We can hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, Anson. You were asking where my accent was from?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Canadian.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
Southern Canadian.
Yeah.
My family's originally from the border of Michigan. I am a border city brat, so yeah.
So I was right in hearing the I guess Wisconsin area, because I said Wisconsin or Canadian, and that's
Absolutely 100%. Yeah, you were very close. Apologies.
Big Jake's Ranch is. I can't tell if he's trolling me or not. He says he's banged his post woman. So
that sounds like fun.
Who said that?
Don't give Anson any goals.
Oh Lord. Yeah, no, I do have an accent. I've learned that from speaking with people from America more often from Andrew's channel, because they're like, you have an accent. And I'm like, I really don't. And they're like, no, you totally do. It sounds like you're from Edmonton or something.
It's just you go about things the different way, with your speaking.
About things, you mean?
About things, yeah.
I go about things. It's too funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
Raging
Canadian,
Patriot.
so.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, again, Angel Barber comes back with, again, the issue is with the sense of duty tied to being a wife. A trad wife is one form of an American woman having a sense of duty to family and husband. That duty must exist for any marriage success. See, I can agree with that, Angel. But at the same time, I think it's really hard to be what most people consider a trad wife. And the interesting thing is there's no converse, right? No, there's no one saying that there needs to be a trad husband. And that's a very interesting thing for me, right?
Well, what is a trad husband other than somebody that works and comes home and is the leader of the household and decides what happens in the household?
Sure. But most men are not the leaders of their houses anymore.
Yeah.
And also most men, the way that my understanding and looking back through history is, the men are supposed to train the children after, or, raise the children after as soon as they're able to walk, they go with the men. Right. And that's because they need to learn how to be men. And I'm mostly talking about boys here. The young men the boys need to learn how to be men. They need to learn how to act. They know what, and that starts young, and it always has. And so if men are, if most men today see their role as simply a provider and not much more, then how does that keep with the idea of being a traditional family, right?
Well, there's a lot of men who get their ability to do that kneecapped by the no-fault divorce and the culture where women can just walk away from the relationship without any accountability or responsibility, turning men into visitors. I mean, that not just that, but even the culture of women. You know, I've been told that I've done the wrong thing for telling my daughter that one of the best things she can do when she grows up is have her own children. I've been told I was mistreating her because I should be telling her that she should be going to college and all that stuff. And she's only, you know, she's not that old, you know, but I mean, I wanted to instill my values on my children. I get shamed.
Who told her that, Anson?
Hey,
who told her that, Anson?
You want it? Okay. So
was it a woman? I'm assuming it was.
It was a woman that told me that. And if she had told that to my daughter and contradicted what I had told her, I would have corrected her in front of my daughter.
But you weren't part of that conversation.
No, I was. So I talked to my daughter and told her that one of the best things that she can do in life is have a family. In context of, you know, one of the greatest joys in my life is having a family and having children, and it could be one of the greatest joys in your life too. And it's what you're supposed to do as a person. And what I was told by this feminist woman is that I did something wrong by doing that, because I'm telling her that having children is more important than her, you know, achieving her own goals in life.
So this all goes back to like the character of the message, right? This is a whole like dialogue issue that I think we have commonly. I don't know if either of you like follow the Transform Wife or other Christian traditional women on Twitter. But a lot of them say that like it's easier, for instance, to bear witness if a woman says it, right? We see this all the time on the whatever podcast, right? Like Rachel will come on, right? After Andrew's been speaking, I'm like, oh my gosh, Rachel, right? And some of them are actually receptive to her message, right? Which is baffling because she's delivering the same message that Andrew is delivering. And similarly on Twitter, we see traditional women delivering this message. And somehow all of a sudden women are receptive to it, right? It is perplexing.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed how there is and it's been a growing trend for a long time, how a lot of women don't listen to men no matter what? No matter what.
Yeah, because of feminism.
It is because of feminism, but you can have a man say something and a woman say the exact same thing, and they would literally listen to the woman over the man.
Well, the men aren't worthy of respect. And you did a whole episode on henpecked men, Grid. You should know.
I did, and I feel like I may have to repeat that. Angel Berber celebrates 5 months of membership. Correct, Grid. The old saying of "wait until your dad comes home" meant the husband coming home to lead and set the state of the home every day. And to be honest, it wasn't always about, just to be accurate, it wasn't always about a punishment. It was about, you know, again, setting things straight, handing out the lesson, and making the decision on what needed to happen going forward, rather than knee-jerk reactions or anything like that. And to that, we should admit that most women are extremely emotional, and when it comes to doling out consequences, punishments, chores, all of that, they get too wrapped up in their emotions and can't make clear decisions. And that's why the men in general, not all men, because there's some very emotional men out there, especially these days with the amount of soy in their diet. This is really the kind of the way it should be, correct? I mean, the woman should say, wait until your father gets home, and then we'll see. Because it should be, a clearer head, or at least 2 heads talking about it, rather than just her doing whatever. So that's
if I can hypothesize, Grid.
Go right ahead.
If I can hypothesize, yeah, I think it has something to do with the overall like social like perversion of men, where like women are taught to view men as predators, and their intentions as insincere, and it really has corrupted the overall like feminist mindset in terms of how we approach relationships with men, and also feedback and criticism from men.
What do you think about that, Anson?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've lived this where the woman wears the pants in the marriage thing, and a lot of the tropes related to the man not stepping up. I've lived that before, and I've tried to turn it around after living it, but it doesn't work because from my experience, I mean, women, you have to set the tone at the beginning of the relationship. Or else the woman's just going to walk all over you and not respect you. And it's the duty of the man. It's the duty of the man to set that tone at the beginning, or else it's just not going to work. You can reset, but it's really difficult. And I don't know. I think it might be the soy thing, Grid, because I was a vegan for a few years at the beginning of my second marriage. That might have messed with me some. Yeah.
It's too much estrogen, man.
Yeah.
I wasn't even kidding about that.
Yeah,
that was a serious thing. I see Michelle. The other Michelle is in the chat. That's another issue. Men need to come home and reinforce the mother's authority while dad is away. Otherwise, it creates confusion and undermines the mom's effectiveness. Yeah, to some degree, that's true. But again, especially nowadays, I think that women are just way too emotional and just fly off the handle. And
they're like children. You got to tell them no.
Is that not partially due though to society's like kind of leaning into women's emotional outbursts? Like I guess a prime example of this would be, like have you guys? I mean, I don't like musicals either, but like, have you seen like the Wicked promotional content where like Ariana Grande and her female co-star like holding each other's hands and crying prolifically about the hardcore, female empowerment experiences they've had on set? Like it's absolutely pathetic, and people will like go like slay queen, yes, to that type of content.
Well, I mean, it's cascade effect. It's been going on a long time, and where men at one point in time could and would literally just walk away from a relationship that was torched. Now men are shamed for that, right? And where women are not.
Yeah.
Women are literally told, leave a bad relationship. Men are told, you're scum if you leave a bad relationship.
Not only that, but men walking away from the relationship, you're walking into paying money and being a visitor. Yes. So you get the men
eradicate no fault divorce.
Yeah. So I think I would have divorced my wife had it not been for that fact, and the fact that I would be getting the short end of the stick. There's real fear there for men who want to teach their children, their values and pass it on to the next generation of how they're supposed to behave. I mean, it's difficult.
So here's the thing. No fault divorce is often blamed, but I don't know that it's really the devil that we're facing, because, and I say that because in most cases, most divorces, women get nothing, and they're actually women are actually lied to about this a lot. And there's that Taylor the Fiend or whatever his name is. He goes into this quite often where he talks about how these women torch their marriages because they think they're going to get half, they think they're going to get the house, they're going to get full custody of the kids and all of this stuff, and then they actually do go through with the divorce and they find out no, it's 50-50 custody, and oftentimes if depending on the some factors, the woman could not get could get reduced custody, could get even no custody. And oftentimes, sure, the assets they had coming into the marriage, the assets they had while they accumulated through the marriage, like a home and maybe some cars or something like that, get divided. but not everything, and they certainly don't get, in general, don't get an ongoing paycheck from the men like it used to be. Now, this is all based on history that has been changed. People, it just doesn't work that way anymore. But women are told that. They're even told that by their friends. And I actually just watched a thing about this where this woman says to her, this woman's invites this other woman into her house. They're hanging out with her husband, and the homewrecker says, "Oh, you're so sweet, everything. You guys are so cool together." And the minute the man walks away, she's like, "Oh, you have to leave him. He's terrible. He's so toxic. What is wrong with you? You're better off by yourself." And she just kind of, just keeps picking at this happy girl until she does actually leave her husband, and then she's divorced and alone. And shockingly, the woman who told her to leave her husband starts dating the husband. Taylor the Fiend. I love that guy, man. He's hilarious. But it's very, of course, that was an acted out kind of drama thing. But women are their own worst enemy, right? Other women are not necessarily your friend at all. Men, I think, understand that. Like, we don't listen to each other very often at all. We might have like 2 good friends, and that's it. Women think they have tons of friends, and they're usually people with bad advice. But I feel like I'm talking too much. Am I? You guys have any input there?
Yeah, I do. So this is something I actively fight against currently. I mean, to be fair, I'm only a recent patriarchy recruit. It's been about a year for me. But I oftentimes, especially in the workplace, hear women utter phrases such as like, "Oh, happy wife, happy life," or, "Oh, like your man should be just so happy that you like even did this for him," and stuff. And I actively encourage them to like not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was in a relationship for 9 years, and it's by no means the man that I would want to marry, particularly for religious reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even now, I think back on that, and I was like, you know what? I probably could have given that a better shot, but because of this like girl boss mentality where it's like, don't just leave him, you'll find a better man. Well, the reality is, especially if you're married, okay, you're walking out of that situation maybe with kids in your mid-30s. You're like, I don't like to use sexual market value because I think that's like a really misogynistic way to approach things. But there is a reduced value, right? Because you do come with baggage, albeit, okay, maybe you've had a bad relationship, so you're emotionally scarred from that. Maybe you have children, right? Not every man wants to raise another man's children, right? And then you've also got the issue of like, okay, now you're distrusting of men. And I think that's something that we really need to fight against as a society, because I do think that like men are actually more wholesome than women. Women, in my experience, have been very like viper-like, where they easily turn on each other. Men are more straightforward. So I don't know. I think there's a corruption in female society. I do not think that the workplace and the mass influx of women into the workforce has helped that. But I think there's something that's gone majorly wrong in today's society in terms of the gender divide.
So out of all the stuff you just said, the thing that I picked up on first was you've only been a convert to anti-feminism, the patriarchy, for a year. What happened to change you?
Well, I mean, it's a tale as old as time, right? Like I said, I was in a relationship for a long time. It failed. It was not a traditional relationship in any sense. COVID happened, and I started trying to, on a very limited basis, try and interact with the male gender on a romantic kind of context, and it was not working.
So I have a thing. I actually have a thing for women giving other women advice.
Well, let me put it this way. Take the most horrific, awful thing you can think of and multiply it by cancer.
Yeah, I've seen that a bunch of times, man. That's wild. Women just taking things way out of context and trying to bolster whatever wild ass position they have with nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's real right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's women giving other women advice. So just throw that out there. Multiply by cancer, and you're good.
Yeah, I try not to be Cancer. I try and be like, okay, give men a chance. But yeah,
Well,
I
look,
wholeheartedly accept the fact that
Yeah, we're not talking
There-
about you, Paige. We're talking about the ones that cope and don't have any
Okay.
self-realization.
we're talking about the ones that tell other women that they need to leave a perfectly loyal husband material dude for no good reason, right? Or
those are witches.
or
No,
just
it's
or
to be
will
happy.
literally say that, hey, we know everything's going really good right now, but it's only a matter of time. He's going to cheat on you. He's going to ruin his life. He's going to ruin your life. Don't let him take you down with you. Don't let him take you down with him, into the depths of hell with him. So go ahead and do the preemptive strike and get that divorce and make out like a bandit now because he's going down. And
Misery
they're
loves
literally-
company, doesn't it?
and it's there's a look, first of all, and I maintain that women are canned evil, right? And you just have to know that going in and be prepared to deal with it. It's in the U.S. anyway, because or in the West, I guess, because we do have the princess phenomenon. All little girls in the United States since like the 1940s have been told that they're a princess and they deserve a prince to come riding up on his shining white horse, waving a sword to free her from her misery, which they generally don't have any misery, but that's the way it is. And we just can't, we're still fighting against that. Like that, it's terrible that, and so when they find a good man that will love them and care for them and be faithful and provide or work together to provide a good life for them both, these women shit on them. They do. And it's terrible. I've seen it over and over again. And I hear about it all the time. And I used to think it was just me. I used to think that it was just me. But no, it's like a real thing, and more I come to realize that I'm not wrong, and I'm not being psychotic. That it's a real thing, and that if you find a woman that is, as a man, if you find a woman that you click with and that is faithful and has all of those things and doesn't listen to her friends that tell her to throw you under the bus or whatever. If you find that woman, you need to absolutely hang on both, and just ride that lightning, because it's rare. It's more rare than it should be. And the thing is we are not changing it. Little girls are still being told that they're a princess. Little girls are 100% still believe that they deserve the fairy tale. And when they turn 18 or 15 or 16 or 17, whenever they start interacting with dudes, and all of a sudden they understand that they're not a princess and they're not going to get that, their lives implode. Literally their lives implode. And then they go out and become 304 whores. They become jaded. They use men. It's just, I can't say enough about it. I could go on, but I feel like I'm talking too much again.
These women are repairable, though, Grid.
They are repairable.
The men,
you can reclaim them.
Yeah, the men.
It's like Barnwood.
Yeah. The men watch these same damn fairy tale stories. I believe that the whole white knight thing. The guy who can fix the woman and go in there. Yeah, I lived that too, man. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Sure.
Yeah. And in order to stop it, though, like the guy has to be comfortable saying to the princess woman, "Hey, this fit you're throwing, you need to shut up." All right, that's not going to work. Until the guys feel comfortable doing that when they're 20 years old because they've broken the conditioning of all those damn Disney movies they watched when they were younger, it's not going to get better. The men can fix this.
Mm-hmm.
They got to make these grown children, become women.
So this goes back to the whole like framing, like who is the prize, right? In modern society, women are taught that we are the prize, right? That mentioned that we're like Grid One said, like perfect little princesses, and men should worship at our feet. But if you think about the traditional like biblical relationship, okay, where the man is the head of the household, where the man is the primary breadwinner, where the man is the one who makes the decisions, men are the prize. So it's almost like perverted. Way. Yeah.
So you look back in if you actually read the books or watch the videos or not videos, but movies and just, read somebody's diary from back in like the 50s. Literally the women went out of their way to attract men because they had to, because men it wasn't that men had any more choices than they have today, but the number of obese, horrible people was lower, right? So automatically, just because you're thin, you didn't win, because everybody was thin, right? Just because you were a hard worker, that didn't change, that didn't help because everybody worked hard, it just it was a different, men were the prize. You're accurate about that. But then somewhere, and obviously women were shunned horribly if they got knocked up, right? Like that's when you remember, I mean, you probably have read about, maybe not. I guess we don't talk about it anymore, but the whole get sent off to the convent for a year, go to a girls' school for, and whatever excuse the family made, but they'd send the girl off and have the baby and then give the baby up for adoption or whatever. And, because they didn't want to ruin her reputation, right? And it was really important. And then now it's not. And I think that really, and I agree with Brian and Andrew and everyone else that says this, and that is the 60s and birth control and abortion changed the world. In America, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
because then women didn't have to be responsible. Men didn't have to be responsible, right?
A man put women on birth control for anything. Yeah.
Men did not stick their dick in crazy, because if they knocked the girl up, chances are they had to marry crazy. Yeah. And you just didn't do that, right? Like you had to have a little bit more. You had to have a little bit more. What I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for here?
Self-control, restraint,
self-control,
accountability,
pride. More pride, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The 60s changed that. The 60s changed that to where, all of a sudden, all of a sudden there's massive amounts of birth control.
Yeah, that was one of my first dating questions that I asked women was, "Hey, are you on birth control?" And if they said yes, I just left them alone.
Can I offer something on that point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I offer something on that point? Because
absolutely.
This is often misunderstood. Yeah, it's also like widely broadcast on like the Fresh and Fit podcast as to like, women being crazy because they're on birth control, hormones out of balance, or maybe they're promiscuous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to give some context, I was 16 when I was prescribed birth control as a virgin. By the way, I was a highly Christian woman. I have a very low body count. There was no risk of me fornicating with a man at the age of 16. Okay. The doctor prescribed it for me because I had some acne issues and some period cramps. and they prescribed it like immediately.
Wow.
And I will say that I have been on birth control since I was 16. I have a body count of 7. Okay. So I'm 34. So I by no means was like out in a boot, you know, like with the kind of fornication levels that would dictate that I needed birth control. And I've never been pregnant ever. So yeah, I think there is a tendency. So I would like to dispel that if there's any men that are listening, like just because the woman's on birth control doesn't always mean that like she's promiscuous. A lot of doctors are rather prolific.
Oh yeah,
pun intended. In terms of their prescription of it.
You should watch Kat, my old guest she was my co-host for a while. You should watch her channel. She has a lot of the women's health stuff, and she talks about how bad birth control is for women. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, and all of the things, how bad it messed her up, and all that. It's pretty interesting.
It did. It messed me up. I actually tried to go off of it because I've been celibate for a really long time, and I gained weight. I had like some immense acne and stuff like that because I didn't want to be on it anymore.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. That's basically you should. She's not. I don't know why she didn't come on. She should come on the show. I don't know why. I don't know what she might actually have a show going on right now, but she should leave it and come here and do my show.
Yeah, so this show's kind of turned into Paige is a high value woman who needs to be hooked up with some guy in the grid motor sphere. So if there's any guys in Canada who want a high value woman in her mid-30s, you know, go ahead and slide into that DM.
That's sweet, Anson. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's.
You'd be perfect if you weren't Canadian. So.
Well, I'm Canadian.
She's already
great money. I'm still fertile, but yeah, no, my main thing is like, you know, I think like it's important for females to speak to females about some of these issues, and I'm always happy to kind of lend a hand in that regard. I'm a litigator, so I do speak professionally, but yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions, and I don't think that the patriarchy is bad. I don't even necessarily think that all the stuff that the red pill has to offer is bad. I just think it's really misunderstood.
Well, the red pill's not necessarily patriarchy, but
no.
Yeah. And it's not a monolith either. That's something that I've learned. I didn't really find the red pill until this year. And what I've learned is that there's so many different people in it that it's just a bunch of different people that are in this collective, and there's not really a Bible per se or one book that they read off of. They're just a bunch of different people doing their own thing and pushing their own agenda sometimes.
Yeah.
I really like Andrew. I think, sorry.
Well, I think that there's a lot of different things, right? Like, I think that there's a, it just with, especially as you get older, you know, for women especially, it's just harder to find people. It's harder to trust people. It's harder to do all of those things, right? And it's good that you have such a great attitude. Honestly, it's because it's tough. But red pill is so red pill, and I don't know if Viking is still in the chat. He may be. I don't know, but you know, red pill is one of those things where it's like men have all the value, there are high value women, and there are women that have no value because of their way they live their lives. If you listen, depending on who you listen to, but at the same time, it's not really that way. And I kind of have an interesting viewpoint on red pill. I think that their descriptors, the things that they say, are actually pretty good, right? Like I agree. You should, as a man, you should work on yourself. You should try and better yourself every day. You should read. You should gain knowledge. You should work out. You should, try and, try and make more money every day, like, and find a career that works for you and do all that stuff's good. And all of the things that are about how to be a better man, I agree with. Where I start getting into issues with red pill is how they really dodge having in what they consider to be the ideal relationships or any of that, right? Like they don't a lot of the creators, a lot of the people who talk about it won't say, well, you should not just fuck every woman that comes along, right? You should wait and find quality women, and obviously it's different for a man, but you should not just bang everything that comes down the pike. But they won't say that because then they lose a good chunk of the people that pay their bills, my opinion. I could be wrong about that. I've been wrong about a lot of things. But
Grit.
Yeah.
Doesn't this kind of like not with the red pill specifically, but doesn't this kind of border on the crisis that we have as a society as a whole? Because for a large part, men are taught how to please women, right? But on a socialization basis, women are not taught how to please men.
Oh, they're discouraged from doing it.
Well, first of all, men are simple creatures. If you need an instruction booklet, you should return to zero.
He missed the mark.
Yeah, you really messed up. Men are pretty simple creatures, and so I don't, unlike, it's, you ever seen that picture where it has the radio and it has men on one side and it has a dial with like one setting, and then it has women over on the other side, and it's like 10,000 buttons and dials and meters and all kinds of things. Yeah, that's what we're talking about here when we say that, because I think that men should aspire to be men should aspire to be the best version of themselves, and that should include finding a good wife, because you're, as a man, now being married, and I don't know if Anson would agree with me, you're really, no matter how good you think you are alone, a good wife makes it that much better. You are that much better with a good wife.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I 100% Grit. I'm right there with you. There's no reason to disagree with that at all.
So
That makes me rib. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if I were to give my because everybody has their own version of red pill, but if I were going to give my version of what red pill should be or ought be, is men ought to make themselves better men so that they can be better husbands and enjoy a more fulfilled life as husbands and fathers. That's what ought to be. Unfortunately, that doesn't sell books. So red pill kind of stays away from that, right? They want to, that's a 50, bang 50 chicks thing. Now, is that what, and now I'll tell you, and I don't know that you may have heard this from me before, but my position has always been, and long before there was ever red pill and commercially like there is now, long time ago, I decided that for me, this is just for me, when I had nearly got married twice when I was young in college. When the second one didn't happen, just because of, it's just the way things work. It wasn't, it wasn't like we hated each other. It was, outside circumstances. When the second one didn't work out, I said, and my audience has heard this a lot. I just settled down and I'm like, you know what? It's nose to the grindstone. I'm going to finish school. I'm going to improve my life. I'm going to go learn skills. I'm going to do all of the things that I need to do. And I did that. I went out and I did all of that. But I did not have a serious relationship for that 10 years, 10, well, almost, 10, 12 years, whatever it was, almost 15, I guess. Because women at that point, any kind of relationship that I would have had would have been a distraction, which would have pulled me off of what I needed to do. And anytime I had a relationship that seemed like it was going to be a distraction, I ended up having to get rid of it, right? Because it just wasn't what I needed. And in general, I just and I did not date what I would consider marriage material, right? Because first of all, I didn't want to pollute the waters for the next guy, so to speak. And I would have felt bad about it. And until I met my wife, actually right before I met my wife, I had a relationship for the first. I felt like I could have a relationship. I had a relationship with a lady that was went very well. And then I was like, you know what? I think I need to get married. And I was married within a year. That's just the way it went for me. And I think that most young men, and I've told young men this before, is if you're not married by the time you're about 23, just forget it. Just don't do it until you're in your 30s. And then when you're in your 30s, date younger. My wife's 11 years younger than me. And that's just the way it is. All the women that were in my age group when I was your age, right? So I don't know if it holds true now, but all of the women that were in my age group were nuts. They were absolutely crazy. A lot of them had kids. They were very damaged emotionally. They had a lot of trust issues, just stuff that I could not get past. And I wasn't willing to put the time in to get past them. Right. Like I say I couldn't get past. I think Anson's point here is that those women were probably, for the most part, redeemable. A couple weren't, but for the most part, they were probably redeemable and and probably made at some point somebody a very wonderful wife. But I wasn't willing to put the time or the effort in on the gamble that it would be a good wife, that she would be a good wife.
Yeah, you made the right choice, Grizz.
So, this kind of brings into, sorry.
No, what I was going to say is if you have a choice between a damaged woman or a not damaged woman, I'll always choose the one that's not damaged. Yeah, that's just logical.
I got to calm down for just a second, guys, but I'm still here.
Okay. Go ahead, Paige. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that this kind of brings forth the whole issue with education on the Christian importance of marriage and marriage generally. Right? Women are taught from a young age that we need to go to college, that we need to gain careers in order to be positioned in life to support other humans. Right? So a lot of women, like I will say myself personally, it took me about 10 years from entering the workforce in order to be like self-sufficient to the point where modern society would dictate that I'm now okay to provide for another human, right? To be a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that 10-year point was over 30 years old. Okay. So I believe intrinsically there's a disconnect between where women should be at in terms of our ability to be mothers and what society tells us we should be at in order to be mothers. Because society tells us we should be at the point where we can support another human, which for most women is beyond their 30s, right? Which is not an ideal point to have children. I'm in a bit of a different situation medically where I'm like a bit ahead in terms of my fertility, but a lot of women are not. Like once you reach 31, it's all downhill, right? And that's when most women reach the stage of life wherein they can support another human. So I think there's a huge messaging error, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. And so there's different kinds of women. So the kind of women that hear that messaging and are responsible will do that. And the more intelligent women think, all right, I'm following the game plan that I'm told. But the men hear messaging too, and their messaging is, in and I'm going to speak to the messaging that I heard for marriage, which is find a woman that you love.
Yeah.
And that's total bullshit, because that doesn't prepare you either. You know, you're not supposed to find a woman you love and then do all that. It's what you were talking about initially, Paige. The reason for marriage is the whole Christian ideal, and it doesn't have anything to do with feelings.
Well, I think that let me throw this out there, because and we're getting a little late to have such a longer, because this could be a long conversation. But so let me ask you this: so if you are, as Anson just said, you're going to be in this relationship and you're going to be a good person and all of that, right? You, I'm trying to think of how to put this without being a dick any more than normal.
I will not be offended, I promise.
I mean, if we don't start being good to each other, at some point, men and women are just going to be sick of each other altogether, right? I'm right about that?
Sex robots. Yeah, sex robots will be the reality at that point.
Right. Yeah, right. Those are real things. And so when we're talking about, women that are older, that are trying to get into relationships, they've got to be, they have to be really careful, right? And for men, especially the men in like the red pill community, it's just so terrible right now. It's just, it starts out good. And actually, I'm gonna read this that TR says. If looked at critically, red pill is a mirror image of feminism, almost. Men are told they are superior. Women are there as playthings. Inherent value is not instilled upon the opposite sex. See, this is actually a problem in a lot of different ways, because women need a very specific, what's the word I'm looking for? Not vibe, but they need a very specific energy. Yeah, they need leadership from men, but they also need a very specific energy from men, because where women are really emotional, men really aren't. And you don't, this is a problem I have with the red pill dudes, right? This is like a really big problem I have with them. They talk about how the sex and everything else is, they really make sex like the root of the relationship. And physical attraction is the root of the relationship. And the true desire, right? And all of that is the root of the relationship. But marriage is way more, man. Marriage is tough. Marriage is and this is where I have a problem with a lot of this. And this may just be mine and shared by very few other people opinion on it. Once you're family, it's just like, I don't like my brother sometimes. I went like a year hating my brother, but he's still my damn brother. I didn't kick him out of the family, right? And, if somebody really screwed up, I couldn't just cut my brother or my mom or whoever out of my family, right? And so what you actually have now is you don't have families. You have agreements. You have contracts. You have friends that you sleep with. And you don't have families. And that's what's so fucked up. That's what's got everybody fucked up. Everybody wants to talk about having a hot babe with big boobs or whatever, or having the best sex of their life every night for the rest of their lives. Brother, that doesn't work. And this is where red pill fucks up. This is where people don't understand that it wasn't unusual when I was a young man, or when I was not even a man, when I was a young boy, it wasn't unusual to know about families down the street where the mom and dad slept in separate rooms, and the grandmother and grandfather slept in separate rooms or in separate beds in the same room. It wasn't unusual because it's the way it was.
Yeah. No, I've seen
my
that
parents, my mom slept in the bed. My stepdad slept on the couch almost every night the past probably 10, 15 years until he passed away last year. Because he liked sleeping, he liked to watch TV and he'd fall asleep on the couch. And it was not a problem. It wasn't like she got angry about it. You know, they weren't together because they were, you know, knocking boots all the time. We were family. What is wrong with people that they just don't understand that anymore?
Well, I mean, so the generations now, Grit, aren't being raised with the same sort of culture anymore. It's the whole family structure has been eroded over several generations.
I agree.
And that sense of commitment and loyalty and duty to family that you're talking about, I know exactly what you're saying, man. I feel that too. But there's a lot of people who, you know, they get done with, you know, their family and then they move to the other side of the country and they never really come back except for maybe on holidays, and the children see that, and then maybe that family gets divorced, and then a few generations later nobody has a sense of loyalty to one another anymore on a family level, and it's more, you know, every person for themselves.
You're talking about commercialized narcissism. Commercialized narcissism is like a huge problem in terms of like it's a huge problem. Commercialized narcissism, because like there's a lot of people that they basically think that their word is God, and it's promotion through the media, right? There's a lot of like TV shows or maybe some will watch that promote the rights of the individual. They don't like promote the kind of like duty that Christian ethics kind of promote. So yeah.
Right. And Michelle Nayaka says, Michelle, by the way, for Paige, we have several Michelles in the chat, but
too many.
Nayaka, I agree with, or I don't know how you say that, but anyway, Michelle, I agree with you. Some people are really toxic and you can't change. And some people really do need to get out of their marriage. Okay. But that number is really small. The number is like, honestly, it's incredibly small. And I refuse to accept that if you are actually becoming family, if you are really married, if all of that, then people are so willing to trash a marriage at the drop of a hat. I refuse to believe that that's how it should be. Also, welcome ZT Den. Glad to see you. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and I know it's been a rough year for you, and I hope that you did well, or you are doing well, I guess I should say. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I am wrong, Michelle. I could very well be wrong, but I hope I'm not. I'm hope that, you know, we can regain a sense of respect for each other, a sense of family. When you choose someone to marry, that person is now your family. That person is not some hot, it's not some hot chick you want to bang. It's not some dude that you know makes you have butterflies in your stomach or whatever girls say these days. I don't know. I haven't read a novel in a long time.
It's much different.
But culture. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've read a novel like that. But it's we got to stop this, man. Yeah. I think it's just modernity is not making us better humans. It's making us something, but we're not better humans.
So what I heard, and I'll kind of distill this down. I have this problem where I watch a ton of that whatever podcast, and it's a problem because it's the same thing over and over again. These women who are ultra
Man versus bear.
They're propagandized. But what I'm hearing from you, Grit, is that a lot of the red pill guys are equally shallow in their expectations also, and it's a problem on both sides. It's not just
Well, I think the red pill guys are worse, and I'm going to and here's why. And I'm talking about true red pill guys, the guys who believe in open relationships, the guys who believe in and by the way, very specific open relationships, open on their end, closed on the woman's end.
On the women's end, yeah.
You know, all of the got to fit in their frame or they're gone. All that. Those type of red pillars are wrong because, or as bad as any of the women, because without feminism, they can't exist. They count on feminism. They need women to be strong and independent. They need women to bend over and take it. They need women to be sexually liberated. They need them to sleep with anybody at the drop of a hat. They need that. Otherwise, their whole deal falls apart. If you have a woman who's a true, a truly feminine woman who is led through patriarchy, either from her father or future husband, red pill doesn't hold up. It just doesn't. And I know I make a lot of red pill guys angry about that, but unfortunately that's the way it is. I'm only red pill adjacent. I agree with a lot of the principles for making men better men. It falls apart when we start talking about relationships, and some politics and some other things. But the part about being a better man, I agree with.
So it's the portion that's not based on the Christian ethic, but based on the secular ethic. That's where it falls apart because it's.
I don't think there's any ethic there.
Yeah, well, there is. What the guys that you're talking about is the same ethic as the 304s on whatever. It's me.
Right?
Me.
Yeah, they are simply the male version of a 304. They just have an honor code.
Yeah.
And it actually kind of hurts me to say that, because I really want to respect those guys, and I really think that they started out on the right direction, but they didn't get there. So, which is one of the reasons why they most red pill guys have a problem with Andrew, because he is patriarchal. Most of the red pill guys have a problem with Brian because he is more patriarchal than he is red pill. He just simply references red pill doctrine occasionally, and he doesn't even do that much anymore. So,
can I speak to that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Just a little bit, because I am in correspondence with somebody that I met through Andrew's channel. I do think there is a patriarchal aspect to it, but I've never felt like degraded or anything like that. In terms of
Andrew's not red pill. Andrew's not red pill.
No, he's not red pill. Yeah. So,
yeah,
but I don't think that there is a degradation of women in that space.
Yeah, in the Crucible, the men that I've seen in there have a high regard for women. They value women, in the more traditional sense. In a lot of ways, they're disgusted with the simping people because they view them as disrespectful toward women, because they don't take their role as a leader and help the women become, reach their full potential. So I can see why you think that those men are more, I guess, high value. So.
Yeah, but I
So
don't necessarily disagree with what the message is. So
yeah. Well, so again, for descriptors, I think, for the most part, red pill holds up until you get to the part about relationships, and then it starts falling apart. Although I do agree that, men need to be men, and if a woman doesn't want to fit into what the men thinks they, or if the female doesn't want to fall into the leadership, then you can't lead somebody that doesn't want to be led. Right? You just can't do it. So forget about it. Raging Patriot, I kind of agree with you, right? Like I'd never even heard of red pill before I started watching Brian's show, and they kept calling him red pill, and I'm like, what the fuck is red pill? And of course
I thought it was
nothing.
political. I heard about red pill like 15 years ago doing political stuff, and I thought it was all related to, being a conservative.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting dynamic, and I think again, kind of to tie it back into the prompt for tonight, which we've done actually a really good job of talking about this stuff. I think most, I think most people, if it comes down to it, I think most people, especially in today's world, are not very comfortable being alone. They think they are, but they aren't. There are a lot of people who go through, or a lot of people who go through periods of time where they are alone because they do things like, we've all seen the guys who go through life, and every time you see them, they have a set of a headset or earbuds in, and they're just in their own little world and just don't even look at you and just keep walking. We've all seen that, and I think that people, I think I recognize that as somebody that is just trying to figure themselves out, and hopefully they get it done before they ruin all of their relationships, because that's exactly how that shit happens. It's actually, we're really, really close to time to cut it off. So we got about 20 minutes left. If you guys want to, say, just give some final thoughts, maybe one more round of conversation, and then we'll kick this pig.
Well,
I would love to ask you a question, Grid.
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So there's I do watch the Whatever podcast, as does Anson. And there's been a large amount of discourse as to why you haven't been a supporter as you previously were in terms of the dono chats. Do you have anything to say on that regard?
I've just been really busy. I mean, I'm doing my show a lot. I don't even get to watch the show anymore. So there was a period of time, and I told everybody this when it was happening. There was a period of time where it was kind of the perfect storm, where I could, they just happened to be like Sunday night and Tuesday nights were nights I didn't really have anything going on, and I could stay up late and that sort of thing, right? And then that changed, and I was able to kind of, you probably, I don't know if anyone really noticed, I don't know how many people pay attention, but I could only be on for like the first hour and a half, and then I was gone. Because I had, I've got to get up in the morning. I got things to do. I have kids to get to school. I have meetings to log in for, that sort of thing. Not that I am retired, but I still have a lot of things that I do. I've never slowed down. As a matter of fact, I'm ramping up, right? Like I'm looking at, we just bought another house in Columbus, Ohio. We close on that the 30th of December, and it should be rented by the 1st of January. I've got that to deal with. We're looking for at least one more to buy, maybe two, maybe a flip instead of a rental this time. I've got, my wife and I are doing an investment fund for real estate. We've raised way more money than we thought we would. We were looking to raise $5 million. We're already at $3 million. So we're trying to. That may be bigger than what we had originally intended. We're going to buy 50 houses in the Columbus area in the next year. That's a house a week. About buying, that's crazy. We're looking at doing the past couple of years I've been in the works of opening or buying a CNC machine shop and doing some manufacturing, and we're talking about doing that. So I'm spending time doing research on that. So I just don't have any time. Like, I barely have time to do this show, and I don't even know why I do, to be honest with you. But I like it.
So it's no shade on Brian. Yeah.
Huh? No.
It's no shade on Brian.
No. Brian, and Brian wanted me to come on, but Brian's so busy and I'm so busy. We could not actually come to we can barely talk. Like, I'll leave him a message and he'll say, okay, I'll call you back. And then he'll leave me a message and then we keep going back. Now, I have a lot more luck talking to Andrew, and I've actually been looking at investing in a project with Andrew, but we may not do that. I don't know that it's something that I want to do because I don't understand it. I think I understand it, but it's just a business thing. So I talk to Andrew way more than I do Brian, and Brian's been on the show. So
yeah,
I have not even been able to be on the show. Like,
yeah, I talked to Andrew too. He's great.
Not even
haven't
in
talked
the
to
chat.
Brian.
Yeah.
So one other thing. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
The only other thing that I wanted to ask, because I now have this platform to I think a lot of people are interested in this too, because we have touched on a bit of like the passport bro phenomenon, wherein there aren't suitable women in North America, and you need to rely on perhaps international women. What was the reason that brought you to that decision, and what recommendations would you have for men that are seeking a similar path?
So I didn't go to China. I met my wife in Denver, right? Like I met her the old-fashioned way on a dating website, and which was weird because we used to have websites where not apps that you dated on, and I only went out with her because she was the only profile that even mentioned like looking for marriage material or anything like that. So it's very long-term relationship. She was the only ad that even said anything about it. It was really crazy. And so that was interesting. But I was, and honestly, I was very, I was not specifically looking for an import, so to speak, but I was definitely looking for someone that was more traditional, more, I mean, it's hard to explain because I'm everybody has their unique taste, right? And like, I knew that I needed somebody that was very strong-willed, because I have a very strong personality and I will just run over most people and they can't keep up and I just drive them crazy. And so I knew that going in, and, there's a ton of men out there right now that, kind of probably think the same thing. Like they're looking for some, and so not looking for their equal, but they're looking for someone that can share the burden of their life. And most women most women do not want to do that. But I think a lot of foreign women do. It's expected of them, right? And I don't even know, and even that's changing. I mean, it's very, like I have friends of mine that have used to go to Colombia, and they dated a lot of women from South America, from the bigger cities in South America. And they said even that's changing. because of the amount of American men that have gone down there with their proclivities. And so I don't know. I think you can find a good woman anywhere. I still think you can find a great woman in the U.S. I don't know about Canadian women, but
well, so it's funny you mentioned that, because my grandmother, who was a very traditional German woman, one of the first skills she taught me was like how to fold clothes, and she actually told me word for word, I'm not even joking you, Paige, if you cannot fold laundry, you will never be married, ever.
I mean, there's probably some truth to that.
So there is some truth. I enjoy grocery shopping. I enjoy folding laundry. I like domestic duties, but yeah, not a lot of women are like that. So.
Yeah.
Funny story with that. I had to teach my first wife how to do laundry because she had never done it.
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, that is awful. How did she do her own laundry before you met her, Amos?
Yeah, well, she was 19 when I started dating her, so she was taken care of by her family, and then I just scooped her up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you did the right thing in one part, but yeah.
you will look if you come to this show and you watch the chat, you're going to see multiple men that are, a lot of them are eligible men that will literally tell you that, hey, you know, like I'm looking at K2 right now because I'm just going to pick on him for a second. K2 Keep On Trucking I think he's had like 3 dates in the last 2 or 3 weeks that have literally just stood him up. The last minute just didn't call, nothing, just stopped answering the phone. And he's pretty discouraged right now. Right. And he's a good dude. He's I mean, I don't know what he looks like, but you can't hang around this show and not rage on me and not be a good person. Bad people will sit there and make fun of me. I look comfy tonight. I am actually. I've got the heat on. It's nice in here. So
I'm just glad Imperius isn't here.
You know, we were Simperius free. However, he has found us. He has made his way here, but that's okay because we're about to shut her down. Yeah, K2 Keep On Trucking says OSU sucks, but yeah. So, I don't know. I feel bad for modern women. Right? I feel bad for modern women. I feel bad for. I feel bad for Glenn. I mean, oh, look, there's Glenn Lawrence right now. Hey, man, how are you? You okay?
I'm good. No, I'm never okay. But what's new?
No.
I just,
Been MIA. Been MIA, no.
I know. You know that if you're not online or you don't call within 24 hours, I start getting concerned.
Are you going to send out an SOS looking for me?
I might get Josie to go look for you.
I was at her house the other day.
Do you really want Josie to like come after you?
I have a rare sighting of a Josie in the kitchen.
Oh, really?
Woman stuff.
Does she make sandwiches?
She was making turkeys.
Oh, great. I made a mean sandwich.
Oh, you went to Josie's for Thanksgiving? Oh,
for Friendsgiving.
That's awesome, dude. Very cool, man.
Her and her boyfriend invited me over. So
I'm glad, man. I was thinking about you the other day. I was like, man, I wish Glenn was closer. He could come over.
Oh, I wish I would have came. I wish I was closer too. Oh, hold on.
I almost invited Anson over, but he seemed like he had better things to do than come hang out with me. So.
Yeah, well, you're pretty close, Grid. I mean, you're what, like a 30-minute drive? I'll come knock on your door tonight.
Well, are you anywhere near Huntsville?
Yeah, I'm in Huntsville, yeah.
Oh, you're in Huntsville. Dude, yeah. You, Boulay, and Roland are all in Huntsville.
Yep.
Damn, you guys are all like neighbors and shit.
Yeah, he's within an hour of me for sure.
All right, here it is. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to share this amazing rare sighting. Hey, Grady, have you seen like my new? No, you probably haven't. Never mind. You don't pay attention to my shit. That's right.
I do pay attention, but I've been very busy lately.
All right, I'm sharing the screen.
Yeah,
You're
I
gonna
just
watch
heard.
this. All right, guys, this is gonna be a very rare sighting. Okay.
$50 to kick me off.
Look at who's in the kitchen. Look, she's actually a real woman. Who made all this food?
Look, her hair's not all up and too tight and everything.
So you just in here as a prop?
Yes, or this is a paid actor. This is fake.
That's funny.
Look at it. She's. Yep. So I mean, she does do woman shit. She does.
That's really funny.
She does woman shit. She is a woman. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
That's cute, Glenn. That's very nice.
See, I try to be nice. No, it was really they invited me like a couple days ago, like before Thanksgiving. She's like, if you're not, or last week, she's like, hey, if you're not going to do anything on Wednesday, come over for Friendsgiving. I'm like, okay. So just hit the gym with my dad, and then because now I'm clear to lift weights. I'm clear to lift the weights. That's a good thing.
That's good.
So what kind of conversation did I just come over here and destroy?
Oh, we were about to wrap up. I was actually going to.
No, you're not. No, you're going another 20 minutes. That's it. Another 20 minutes.
Oh, are you going live in 20 minutes?
No, I'm not going live until like another hour.
I was going to send everybody over to Flo's in just a few moments.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, but we were talking about, well, the prompt was, are we better alone?
Alone from who?
Just alone. Are you better
From
alone?
the other opposite sex.
Well, actually, I just meant alone, but people interpret things their own way. So
I do. I'm a woman.
There's some times where solitude and isolation is good for you, and there's times when you need to be around people. You need your community. So it just depends on what's going on, you know.
Even Superman had his fortress of solitude.
Well, he's trying to just get away from Lois Lane. That bitch was annoying.
That's right.
If I may provide some context, Glenn, my other female panelist has since not been available, but my perspective was I was in a relationship for about 9 years. I was engaged for 2 of them with an atheist. The situation was less than admirable, but I left him and still not happy alone. So that was a female perspective from that. Yeah.
I could get that. Like, you know, as like you're talking about as in relationships, right?
Correct. Yeah.
See, I think God made us to be in relationship with him, in relationship with one another, you know. So I think that like we're just wired that way. We are wired to want it. Will we ever find it? Will we ever find who knows? Especially in today's day and age, it's like it seems, you know, very far and few in between have that long lasting, you know, relationship. And
so the archetype that
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say the archetype that you seem to be relying upon desires that, like, obviously Christ is king, right? Christ is at the top, right? Followed by the man, right? Which is the head of the household, followed by the woman, and then the children. Okay. But all of this archetype is dependent upon the woman realizing her place and teaching the children their place correspondingly, right?
Absolutely.
So that might be the modern disconnect.
Yeah. Well, it is. That's where so you got the churches, modern day churches, a lot of the evangelical churches preaching egalitarian. So you're just as you know, it's like there's 2 chiefs. Nope, you guys are both equal authority. And really, what it comes down to, they also teach like servant leadership. So it's like any authority that the husband does have, he's supposed to use it in only in serving her. He can't use it for no. You serve her. So
I hate that so much.
Yeah. So it really they kind of destroyed the church has been destroying relationships with this rhetoric and this narrative, and until they get off their high horse and until they swallow their pride and take accountability for what they've been doing, the church is just as guilty, if not even more guilty.
I would also like to add that like no woman finds it sexy to be the leader to her man, and if they do, I think they have a perverted sense of a traditional relationship, like hardcore.
No, you're right. No woman does find it sexy having to be the leader, but they sure want the power. They want the power without the responsibility. That's what they want. They want to have the ability to have the equal power, but then not be responsible for their actions or than the power that they, what they do with that power. So it's like, they want their cake and eat it too.
Well, their feminist training, the way that the women are raised, teaches them to undercut the men and not show them respect, and basically take their power that way. It's at least that's been my experience. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
It is true, and the biggest feminists that I've seen tend to be the ones at the altar Sunday morning. In these evangelical churches. I'm sorry. It's true.
It's always them, yeah.
It's
Protestants.
Well, they're not the biggest, but they're certainly the loudest.
Yeah. They're
the
combination of white knight. Yeah, I'm talking about the pastors. They're the combination of
the
white knight.
Female pastors are just wrong.
That's an abomination.
What the heck? That's heresy.
Yep. It's no bueno. No bueno.
Yeah. Guys, I'm tired. I got to go to bed.
Oh, go to sleep, you old bastard.
No.
I am old. I'm going to go to bed. Have any last thoughts from the folks who are here?
My last thoughts are, when I go live tonight, I'll be sharing unfiltered thoughts with Glenn Lawrence. Got another episode for you guys.
Thoughts.
You'll be surprised.
That's THOTS, folks. THOTS.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thoughts first.
But we got to hit our goals. That's why the only way I release is if we hit our goals. And trust me, you're gonna want to see this one. There's a penis conversation in there. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh no.
It was a podcast that I ended up watching. I don't know. I was like, what the? Oh. Anyways, that's my last thoughts.
All right. Paige, I'm not sure you can follow that, but try.
Oh, I can try. I can certainly try, sir. That is for sure. It's been a pleasure, honestly. Thank you for having me on this panel. I welcome my opportunity to contribute on behalf of the, I think, semi-normal females of today.
Normal?
Yeah, it's been really great. Semi-normal.
There's such thing as normal.
No female can truly be normal. Yeah, they cannot be truly normal, Glenn. So I must adopt the semi-normal principle.
At least you own it. Own it.
You're a member of the Crucible, so
yeah. Yeah, I am. I've been taught to know myself. So yes, indeed.
All right. Anson, are you gonna come over and hang out later on tonight?
Yeah, I'll do that, man. I ain't doing any sleeping tonight. That sounds good. And for my final word, I'm going to say that as soon as Grid tells everybody to get off his lawn, I'm going to go over to the shed, which is his Discord. And if any ladies want to slide into my DMs, to keep me from being alone, because that was the prompt tonight. I don't want to be alone. So, ladies, I'm in the shed tonight. So
he's in the shed. Man. He's in the shed. Oh. All right, guys. My final words are: it's been a great show. I appreciate all the guests. I appreciate everyone who came up, and I appreciate every single person in the chat tonight and all the people who are going to watch this going forward. And I'm going to leave you guys with Andrew Wilson laughing his ass off. And guys, be cool, wear glasses if you need them, and get off my lawn.
Yeah, I just answered your question. Can you tell me what epistemology means?
Epistemology is the study of the epistles. I mean, you can. I told me that a husband and wife is supposed to be the representation of God and the church. He said he's a husband. I asked him if he sees himself as the embodiment of God, and he said no. That doesn't make any sense.
Wait, what is the epistles?
The epistles are the apostles. Are you talking about the apostles?